Let's get, so first question I had was, well, actually, let me, just to break the ice a little bit. We talked about the questions. Is there, and thank you, Sheila, for sharing a little bit about your kind of aha moment during this is why am I not getting in front of my clients? And that's a very good question. I think sometimes we are a little shy, right? I think we are, we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to be that car salesman. Totally get it. But the opposite happens. Sometimes we kind of go into our turtle shells and then, you know, we're that secret agent. Nobody knows that we're agents, right? And that's not good either. So I think finding a balance, I don't know about you guys, but I've never viewed myself as a salesperson. I know that's our license and you're a licensed salesperson. But somebody asked me this question yesterday. Who was it that asked me that question? I think it was a client. Oh yeah, it was a referral from Pennsylvania through Kelly. He says, well, tell me a little bit about your style. And oh no, it was a buyer consultation. And they were trying to ask me, well, you know, how do you run your business? And I said, well, we are consultants. I mean, we can't sell anybody anything. You know, this is a house. We're talking about a $1.4 million house. We're not gonna sell you. It's not a vacuum cleaner. Right? We give you the pros and cons, and we allow you to make your own decisions. And we bring in our many years of experience to give you good guidance, and the decision is yours. Right? So don't feel like you're being pushy. I don't think if you put the consultant hat on, and that these people really are looking for great agents, then that is good. Because this buyer was suspicious of all agents, like suspicious. Right. Yeah. Right. And that's where I told them, you know, we take the consultative approach, and we're looking for a long-term relationship. We're not looking for just to sell one house and never see you again. So that's what I would encourage you. Anyone else had any big kind of moments you're grateful for during this Ignite session that you want to share with the group? Okay. Well, let's get going then. So for today, we're going to focus on obviously cultivating leads and into seller opportunities. I'm going to hit the first slide here. So I want to actually show a really quick video here of that kind of summarizes this slide. And I thought it was kind of cute because last night you guys still see my screen?
Let me see. Somebody's reading a book, huh?
Yeah, this is my daughter, Emmeline. She's 9. She's reading the Shift book. And she read something and I thought it was really cute, and I filmed it. This really summarized my first slide today.
First, we need a lead, generate, capture, and convert leads to appointments. Second, we need to present to potential buyers and sellers and get representations, agreements signed. Third, we need to show our buyers and market our sellers. Fourth, we write and negotiate purchase contracts. Fifth, we coordinate our resulting states to closing. And sixth, we manage all the money that flows in our business. We actually discuss all 6 on page 38.
All right, were you guys able to catch that?
Some of it, yeah.
All right, it's really cute. I went out, she goes, Daddy, I'm reading your book. I said, well, what book are you reading? She goes, I'm reading the Shift book. I said, what? and she's taking notes, and it was the cutest thing ever. And I thought it was funny for my class that she was reading that. So then we filmed it. But my daughter Emily got it right? I mean, what do we do every day? You guys don't see me. A lot of you are in the other office, and some of you do. But I'm in here every day, and I'm doing exactly what's on this list. Right? I'm lead generating every day, buyers and sellers. Obviously, I've been doing this a long time, so I'm quite blessed that people are coming my way. Right? So it's a little bit easier for me. 17 years later, people are calling instead of going the other way around. But when I was earlier in the business, I was always hunting for business, right? And I'm always just trying to get those consultations. Even though they're coming, you still got to follow up. So I'm always following up, trying to get that meeting, make sure I get in front of people. If they're a seller, obviously, I need to push for a listing presentation. We had one yesterday come in, and it was referred by an agent in Philadelphia, which I love KW right now because of the Kelly app. Agents are looking up your production when they first look your production, then they look you up online, see what you're doing, see if they like you, like your style, and then they'll start referring business to you. It's amazing. So make sure you beef up whatever you can on your profiles online, and make sure that your LinkedIn's up to date, and if you're doing YouTube videos that people can find you easily, because they're watching and they're looking and go, I really like this person. I think they're really going to fit in. So yeah, I talked to this lady yesterday, and it was a referral from Pennsylvania, and she goes, "Yeah, we're interviewing a lot of realtors, but I'm trying to, I gotta talk to my partner, blah blah blah." So that's kind of a dead end for a moment if I stop there. So I've blocked my calendar every day to ping her. I'm gonna text her, I'm gonna call her. Hey, I emailed her. I'm gonna hit her on all channels for next week to try to get her partner on the line because that's what it's gonna take. So I know she's talking to multiple agents, and any moment she can just pick somebody, right? And I want to at least get in front of her and have my opportunity to pitch who I am. So that's really what we're doing every day. Of course, buyer presentations. I think KW has a typo here. Make buyer presentations, yeah, and get listings. I guess it's a listing class, but obviously, if you're going to do a buyer presentation, that's more of a buyer consultation, and you're trying to get the buyers. You can take them look at houses, right? But all of these are growth, right? We're trying to grow the business over here, and this is key. You can never stop doing this. I don't care how big you are, how many houses you sell. You have to keep growing. If you don't keep growing, eventually one day you're going to look and go, "Oh my gosh, I have no business." Why? Because people are not always buying or selling houses. You got to keep adding people to your database so that even if they're not buying or selling, that you are staying top of mind so that they refer you when somebody else is buying and selling. And that the wider net that you cast, the better. And you should be looking at real estate as well. Sometimes, even myself, I get busy. I don't always see all the houses out there, but it's definitely really nice when you're looking at a certain area and so your other client is looking, goes, "Oh yeah, I previewed that house already. This is the pros, cons, blah, blah." And they go, "Wow, this guy or gal is really in tune." So definitely be out there and understand the products that are selling. And it's easy right now because there's not that many houses on the market. So it's quite much easier to be able. Now previewing is a little hard with COVID, so at least know it online. Right? At least know it online. And then there's running the business, of course. Our job is to market seller leads, show houses, negotiate contracts, transaction to close, vendor management, set the goals. This was interesting. Yesterday, my daughter whipped out the appointment section of the shift book. She goes, "Daddy, what's your numbers?" I was like, "Oh God." There's a lot. There are a lot of numbers, right? And we usually do that at the business planning clinic. How many appointments? And again, I have it somewhere. I said, "Honey, I'll tell you what the goal is down here. The last one, closings. I know that one top of my head. That's supposed to be 150 this year. Right now, we probably need to tailor it back to about 80 due to COVID. We literally lost a quarter, right? So I was just like, oh my gosh, my daughters keep me accountable on numbers. I love it. Compliance, risk management, of course, making sure that everything's kosher. Attend trainings like you guys are doing right now. Get coaching with Mark Burstein or MAPS or whatever you do. It's nice to get somebody to push your head. And of course, manage your money. This is a point I want to talk about, managing your money. I think sometimes as agents, we're really bad at managing money. We don't have a profit and loss statement. We kind of just do it for the accountant. And even I'm guilty too. And I'm trying to write my accountants to really get me my P&Ls every month because I want to manage and look at the numbers better as well. But more importantly, I think when you get a paycheck, make sure a third of it is saved for taxes, a third of it's put into savings, and then you can spend the other third of it. That's my advice to you on that. Don't spend that whole check. Obviously, if you need it, you need it. That's fine. But try to do a third, or a quarter, right? And just make sure you put money aside for taxes. Don't get surprised by the taxes. And then make sure you put some money aside for savings for the rainy days. And then the other two maybe is run the business and then spend. You can decide how you do that. I will tell you this. A lot of us agents get bogged down with this side of the business, to run the business, okay? We get bogged down by this because this is a time sink, right? All these things are a time sink where we do this and we don't do this. So you're so busy marketing a listing, putting up a sign and showing houses, negotiating, and then trying to do your own TC work, all these things that you don't grow the business. So then when this transaction is done, you haven't grown. You don't have any business in this pipeline. So I am also personally trying my best, even as a Rainmaker team leader, to do less of this, where my team could take on a lot of the, my admins could do a lot of this work, my buyer's agent can do a lot of this work. Negotiations I still like to do, but if I have a strong buyer's agent, I don't need to do this. They can handle this, right? Or a strong listing agent. Right now, I'm still handling most of my listings, so I will negotiate contracts. Transaction management and close, I don't even look at anything here. This is a $400 bill that goes and it's worth every single penny. Because if you imagine you're taking 4 hours to do this, you could have generated, I don't know how many customers in that time, right? So if you don't have a TC, the first thing you should do is hire one. It'll free up your time to do this. Setting goals, if that's something you just got to do. Vendor management, again, part of TC work, managing a lender when things are going sideways. If you have a team, it's definitely nice to have a buyer's agent or another listing specialist do that. But if it's you, right? If you're solo, that's all you. Setting goals, compliant risk management. The TC helps you a lot with this. But obviously, you need to be a good enough agent to understand what the gotchas are when you're writing the contracts. So double check the listing agreements, purchase agreements, all the TDS, SPQs, making sure that those are all solid. Attending training and getting coaching, of course, that's you have to look at yourself, and if you're struggling with growing, that's what you need to do. And I talked about managing your money. But blocking time to do these things is the key. Focus on today, I mean, these are some of the things we're definitely going to talk about, and we're going to focus on these skills here. Looking at sellers, of course, first we want to understand, well, let me talk about agenda really quick. We're slotted for 3 hours today. We may or may not eat up the whole time. There's a section the entire hour where you go follow with your leads. With this weird format, I'm not sure we're going to sit here and it's not as effective. So I might just use that as Q&A time or et cetera, and you can go and do that on your own time. In my opinion, I think we should do that, but we will see how far we get in the material and how much extra time is left. We will have some exercises built in as well. Time is 9:18. We'll probably take a break around 10:15, 10:30. Let you guys go, we got to use the restroom, get some water, whatever we need to do there. Okay? Well, first off, starting here, we want to understand the motivations of a seller, right? That's definitely one of the most important aspects of dealing with the seller. Of course, we want to learn how to qualify and then convert those leads. We can pre-qualify them when we talk to them. We talk about the listing presentation and how to design one quickly in Command. Of course, do some recap and then our daily success habits. That's our agenda for today. Okay. Well, finding seller leads. First things first, your database. And Sheila, you mentioned this, and for those of you that haven't inputted your database into Command, I highly suggest you do that, because that's the first step. If you don't know where your people are and they're not aggregated into Command, then that's one big problem. How do you keep in touch with who you don't know how to keep in touch with, right? So get them into Command. I actually think of database a little bit broader than Command as well. I believe that Facebook is a database. I believe that LinkedIn is a database. I believe that Instagram is a database. It's just a little different. It's not a direct contact necessarily, but I do consider those to be, or Twitter or whatever, or your Pinterest groups or your TikTok friends. I consider those all to be very valuable databases. But if you're talking about something you can actually market to, your KW Command database is key, where you actually have an email address and maybe a phone number. Then if you have an email address, then you can touch them with different ways, right? You can set up a smart plan, touch them if they own a house, if you have their address. And that means every month they get a very smart analysis of their house value from you, which is amazing. You could email them your newsletter every month if you like. You can email them one-on-one, whatever. There are different ways to send just listed to them. All different ways. That's just email. Now, we all know, unfortunately, we all have too much email. I had Bob, our team leader here, walk in yesterday. Hey, I sent you an email. Did you get it? I said, oh, are you talking about the 6,300 backlog I have? Yeah, it's in there somewhere. He goes, well, yeah, I'm sorry, right? So only 20% of people open emails right now. So there's also a phone number. If you set up your Twilio, you could text them as well. So there's different ways to touch your database there, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. But again, step one is get all your folks in there. Okay, that could be a project, top priority project for you. Of course, there's the daily 10-4.
I
Yes.
have a question. You said if you set it up in a telephone, you said you put it into X. I didn't hear the word at all. Twilio.
Twilio, Twilio. And you can you can use the default number that KW gives you, or you can grab a new number. And you can actually send text to all your clients. So let's say you got a lead listing You want to text, it goes, hey, Sheila, I got new listings. Here's the link. If you have anyone that's interested, let me know. Right. So there's ways to do that. And again, Jacqueline can help with that, to help you look into that, or our tech ambassadors can definitely help you with that. We'll do our 10-4 later, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a sec. Unfortunately, we got no open houses to do right now, and this is where this is tough. I talked to a mega agent in KW the other day who's a huge farmer, spends tons of money farming, owns a city pretty much, and says his business is down 40% this year because of COVID. And the reason for that is a lot of his business relied on open houses. I mean, every weekend he deployed 500 open house signs across the city, and he would get tons of calls. He would get a lot of neighbors walking into the open houses, getting to meet him and his team. And it's not just him and there's another smaller player in the same city. There's another gentleman that I met in Cupertino. Without the open houses, these big farmers are struggling because they're used to hitting everybody, with postcards at home, right? They hit them twice a month with the postcards. They have a newspaper ad. They have 500 open house signs out every weekend. They meet them at open houses. They have the giant flags at open houses, so people just see them everywhere, and that's why they do so well. But I want to tell you guys this, for those on this call, if those of you that are not big farmers, I'm going to tell you, the database business has never been better. I'm going to repeat. The database or referral business has never been better. My team is busy as heck because we are a database referral business. We don't do this. We've always wanted to be that big farmer. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely want to be a big farmer, but they spend a lot of money, and now with COVID, without these open houses, they are hurting, and they're hurting bad, and we are not. I personally have, in the last 17 years of my business, way before Command, actually Mark Burstein's on here, his family created Property Minder. I've always used that database, or some type of database, right? I used to have it all in Property Minder. Every client I met at open house, every client that I knew that I got their email, they went into Property Minder at the time. Now it's KW Command. I went away from that. But the concept is the same. The database business, the referral, I set them up on searches, and I'm touching them with the searches. I send them newsletters. When I have a new listing, they get an email. I'm hitting them multiple times in a year. So this business has never been better. If you guys are thinking that COVID sucks and blah 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 blah, you know what? It only sucks if you're not doing anything. So there is an opportunity to take market share from these big farmers, and I suggest we go and do it now, because people, since they don't see these people anymore, they don't remember them. They're just calling us. Oh wait, hey, who in my network is a realtor? They're calling us because they don't know these people, and they're not seeing them every day. So this is where there's an opportunity. I was on a KW call, a top agent call with Gary, and he said during COVID in March, 35% of agents hit the couch, meaning they thought, oh my gosh, COVID's hit, shelter in place, I'm just going to stay home and do nothing. I had a really good agent call me the other day, about 3 weeks ago, and he said, oh, hey, Alan, I saw your listing. I said, oh gosh, that's been on the market forever, and it's impending now. He goes, gosh, I don't know how I missed it. And he's like, yeah, I haven't done anything for the last 3 months. I'm like, what? How have you not done anything for the last 3 months? And there are seriously agents that are just checked out, and that is the wrong approach, because right now the agents that aren't on the couch and that haven't been on the couch for the last 3 months, and those of you on this call, I'm sure, because you've been in, we at KW, we've been on trainings, we've been learning, we've been not taking a break. We should be getting more business. So keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. I mean, we've been slammed over here, and that's because these guys are struggling, and 35% agents are on the couch. So hey, more business for us. Sorry, none of this was on the slide, but getting off my soapbox there. Like I said, referrals. I love the database referral business, and KW helps you with that. And I think KW has kind of figured out. You remember some of the old KW training? They used to focus a lot on, call the expireds, do the cold calling, and do all that. You remember all that? Again, I'm not saying that doesn't work. It does. I mean, just it's a numbers game, right? You call 100 people, you get maybe 5 consults, and you convert 1. It's like Zillow. It's like Zillow leads, right? I mean, it's just a numbers game. I personally feel that database and referral business is so much easier, because when your friend says, use Sheila, use Mark, use Alice, use Kenny. Sorry, I'm just grabbing names. I mean, I get all of you. And when you say they immediately trust you. immediately. Like the trust is there. If you see those Redfin agents talk to those buyers at the open house, or no, those when somebody clicks the app and you're behind them and you watch, that agent, that showing specialist is desperately trying to build rapport in 5 minutes with this buyer, and this buyer has a wall up and really doesn't care. They're just using them to get into the house. And right after they see it, then they go hit their network. Go, hey, anybody know a good agent? And that's when your name should come up, right? If you're staying top of mind. Okay. Connecting questions. My son likes to say this. Who, what, when, where, why, how? He likes to do that. He's 7. So getting some details for your database, there's some good questions you can ask. When you're meeting people, they love to talk about themselves. So the best is you don't talk that much, and that's very difficult for a realtor. But step back and go, yeah, well, tell me a little bit more about your family. Because what you want to do is build rapport. And I mean, I'm the worst at this. So when I meet a client, remembering all the names of the kids and all that, so I immediately take notes, right, in the contacts. I write down the child's name into my database, and you can put this into command as well. Job you can find on LinkedIn, that's not hard, but I think really finding out more about the family, the kids, and all that, so that when you do reconnect with them, you can tell, hey, how's the Nooch doing, right? Because that really makes it personal, right? Who their family is, where they're from, take notes, right? You can add those to your database so you can reconnect. For me, I do this when I have a listing, for example, and I'm calling buyer agent leads. I'll take notes, and then I'll call them, and we're all busy, and we should do the same thing for our customers, by the way. But I'll call them and I say, oh, hey, I just want to check in with you on 5067 Carter. And then they go, oh, which house is that? Oh, we talked last week. You said your clients were on the fence. They weren't sure. They just started. And then, oh, yeah, that client. And then they remember, right? So in the same way, you need to do that with your database. Take notes when you left us. Sheila, when you're in the KW command and you're calling your 10 people a day or writing notes or whatever you're doing, and you actually talk to them, take some notes. What did you guys talk about last time? So that when you talk again, you remember, because you're calling hundreds of people, you're going to forget. And you don't want them to feel that you forgot, right, what they talked about. You want everyone to feel special, right? So make sure you get those details and add them into command and keep track of what you're doing. Right? It's a customer relationship management system. It's what you got in your hands with command. And then assessing what their wants and needs are. What are you looking for? What do you want to do? What's the dream house? Even though in the Bay Area, there's not really a dream house. If they tell you the double spiral staircase and all that, they might need 10 million in Los Altos, right, for that. But really asking open-ended questions, right? That's what you need to do in these consultations, especially with the seller. Usually it's around price, terms, right? But you want it to be more than just about price. Yeah, well, just what are you looking for? Well, I want the highest price. Okay, well that's understandable. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, let me ask you a question. I mean, so when I go to a listing appointment, I don't even talk about the house first. I actually ask them what their next step is. So what do you plan to do after this house? Why do I do that? The reason is, if they're looking to buy, I also want to be their realtor. And so they go, well, I've been thinking about downsizing and moving to the East Bay. Oh, so then we start talking about that. Well, I kind of have a mini buyer consultation right in that moment. Well, tell me more about the East Bay. What are you thinking about? Well, Los Altos is so expensive. We have this tiny little house, and so I'm expecting it's going to sell for 3.5 mil. I'd rather, I'm looking to retire, and I want something nice. Blah 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 blah. Do you play golf? You know what I do? That would be great if I could live on a golf course. Blah, blah. I said, okay. Well, if you're planning to retire, it sounds like you like golf. What about Danville? What about Blackhawk? What do you think about a gated community where you have your own golf cart? You can drive to golf course. You can play golf every day. Does that sound attractive to you? Yeah, that sounds actually kind of interesting. All right, great. Well, obviously we're here to talk about your house, but I'll set you up on a search. And once we're done with this house, I'd love to be a realtor, represent you, take you out to East Bay, take a look at some homes. So let me ask you this though. If we're going to do this, I'm assuming we need a little more time. To make that transition. Do you have another place to stay? You're going to rent? What are you going to do? It's a great question. I don't know if my wife and I want to move into an apartment right now or Airbnb. That doesn't sound fun. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Well, how about this? When we sell your house, we can try to get a 2-month rent back. How about that? No, Alan. Yeah, that's great, but will it impact my price? Maybe, yeah. I mean, the least you ask, the better, right? If you just want them to focus on price. Because, well, then I don't want it. I'll suck it up. My wife and I'll suck it up. Great. No rent back needed. But if they say, well, you got a lot of stuff, blah, blah, then they might say, rent back sounds really good. So, okay. So now you just opened up another dimension, for example, as you talk to them that, again, you don't want it to be just about price. You want to learn what their pain points are. Another question, wow, you have a lot of things here. Do you need, I have a moving company, or I have a packer who will help you pack. I have a moving company who will help you move your things to storage temporarily, things like that. I go, wow, that would be really, really good. That would really help me a lot. Great. And then I'm looking around, I'm seeing there's quite a bit of handyman work that needs to be done. I have a great handyman company here that can help you, and we can manage all this for you as well, because I'm sure you're very busy. Wow, okay, that would be great. So you're already kind of trying to figure out how to add value without even going to talk about the listing yet. You're trying to try to see if they don't care, right? There's some people go, no, I unpack myself. I don't. Okay, then maybe offering a packer or mover is not necessary. Or if the house is in prim, tip-top shape, all remodeled, then maybe you don't need to do anything. But what I'm trying to do is open up the pie of services that we can offer to connect, of course, but also fish around for what we could actually make as part of our pitch later. Okay, I'm not necessarily saying it right then. I'll probably say it a little bit later. Okay, I talked about this where this discussion, right, on the buy side, when they're trying to sell and then buy. Again, why? This is the funny thing I find about these big farmers. They don't take buyers, which I don't understand. Okay, yeah, great. You're a big farmer and you want to work in your little rectangle. I get that. But why not bring on a buyer's agent and give them the buyer business? At least you're just throwing money away. I don't understand that at all. So capture both sides. I love a two-sided deal. Why not, right? I mean, it's right in front of your face. Take it. Right? Why give this business away? Or if you don't do business in Danville, I got a great agent in Danville. Go on Kelly. Just say, I got a great agent. And go on Kelly. Search for the top 5-10 agents that in production in Danville, and then look them up online. Look at their ratings. And maybe you don't always want to pick the top team. Maybe they're too busy. Pick somebody in the middle tier. Interview them. Ask some questions, and then say you're open a 25% referral. Yeah, I'm sure they would be, and then refer them over. Capture the business. Get a referral at least, right? There's so much revenue in this business that we leave on the table. Why are you moving? This is a great question. Why are you moving? Open-ended question. And I kind of jumped the gun there, but you can ask them that question, and then they will tell you all kinds of answers, right? Oh, we have a financial situation. We got to get moving. That is the best seller you can have. Their motivation is very high. We have a financial situation, and that tells you that they are ready to sell, right? And they will listen to you. They will least likely to switch agents. They don't have a lot of time, right? They got to get moving. This is a trust sale. We had a death in the family. That's always a good one too, right? Because they're sitting on this property that they don't want to keep, right? They want to get rid of it and take the funds. Some people are just, just kind of want to test it out based on my price, see how it goes. We'll be cautious of those, right? Those people, yeah, they might go, you might get the listing, but they might hold on to an unrealistic price. So be careful of what you're spending on that one, right? Be careful. Yeah, well, what's your timeline like? When do you think you want to do this? That's a good question as well. If they go, hey, you know what? As soon as possible, I got to get going. I've got some bills to pay. Great. That's a motivated, very, very motivated seller. Well, I got to clean my house. And there's a lady that we worked on for 3 years. I think she missed 2 booms in those 3 years. And she was cleaning her house for 3 years. And she didn't even live in the area. She lived in Canada, so she'd come. And her mom had so much stuff. And honestly, after 3 years, she didn't clean it. It was Tammy on my team. She managed it. We ended up getting a hauler and just hauled all the stuff out of there. It was ridiculous. But some people they're just not motivated. They take their sweet time. And I'm not saying throw that away, keep in touch, but just know that some people take longer than I have a client right now. We're looking at homes for 3 years, and we found 2 homes that they like. and it's just they're buyers, and I'm just hello. Every week I ping twice. Are we any decision? I mean, at least tell me yes or no. What? Oh, sorry, we haven't had our family meeting yet. We've been really busy. Okay, I mean, at least say no. Like, I'm okay if you say no. Just to have no decision is really frustrating, right? And so sometimes I just, I don't know, you just know that they're not extremely motivated. So. And there's also the how do you plan to do this, right? There's some people that just love to do everything themselves. Oh, I will lay the tile myself. I will change the countertop myself. Great, go ahead and do it. But there are some folks you might notice that they don't want the hassle. And that's where you can charge more, perhaps, to manage it, or you know, hold on to your commission, right, for that, to justify that cost. So sellers boil down to about 3 categories. One, of course, able, ready, willing to do business in the next 10 to 14 days. We have had a ton of clients recently like this, and it's been my poor assistants. It's always a fire drill, it seems like, where how soon can we get on? Give us a week, max 2 weeks, assuming there's no major work that needs to be done. So it's almost always a fire drill, and that's great. I mean, we're not complaining. It's just sometimes quite a bit stressful to get everybody lined up, especially if there's a handyman work or contractor that needs to get work done. But if you smell that somebody's just hot and heavy, ready to go, like they just turned a tenant and they're an investor and they want to get out, you need to follow up every day. Just like I told you yesterday, that was a 1031 exchange. I have it on my calendar to call, text, email her every day to try to get an appointment. And she's interviewing other realtors. So I need to talk to her every day because her tenants are clearing out and they're looking to do a 1031 exchange in Pennsylvania. So this one, we need to get moving on. They're willing to do business maybe 15 to 60 days. Obviously, every client goes in your database and call every 2 to 3 days. If you sense they're not really ready and immediately, then they might get a little annoyed if you call them every day, right? Every 2 to 3 days, or once, or at least once a week. Be it your own judge on this. Just got to get a pulse of what you're feeling when you call them. Able, ready to do business 61 days or more. Put them in your database and call monthly, right? And call monthly. I agree. These are great. These are excellent, excellent categories. Okay, role play. Who wants to be a seller? We'll just do one. We won't be able to break out really and do this. Who wants to be a role play with me, and you be the seller and I'll be the agent, I guess. Or if you want to practice being the agent, I'll be the seller. I'm open, whichever role you want. Who wants to volunteer? Everybody sleeping?
No, I'm not sleeping.
Who's that?
Me, Brian.
All right, Brian, you want to be the agent or you want to be the seller?
I'll be the seller.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's get started. Hold on. Oh, hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, good. Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, thank you so much for having me over your home. I just wanted to check in. I had a few questions for you. What is your plan after this house, out of curiosity?
Planning to get a bigger home with 2 little kids. We just need a little more space and want to get into a better school district. Just need to upgrade a lot of things.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So I know right now we're in a condo in Sunnyvale. And how much more are you looking for? A really large yard space, a medium yard space? What kind of yard are you looking for?
I think we're open, but since this COVID-19 stuff started, we've realized the importance of having that private space in the back. So maybe a little bit more of a backyard, but any backyard is fine.
Any yard is fine. Okay, so I mean, a standard lot's about 6,000 square feet. But are you know how some of the newer homes they have a good amount of concrete, but not a ton, about half the size. But is that I mean, usually it's space for your children to go around on their the little bikes or whatever. Is that enough space, or you want something much bigger? Let's say 6,000 plus kind of deal.
I'm a lazy guy. I don't like to do any yard work or any maintenance outside. So I think that's a good amount of space for me. And they're really little, less than 2 years old. So they don't need that much space to run around yet.
Excellent, excellent. You say good school district. Do you want to stay here close to the center of Sunnyvale area, or are you looking to go a little bit further out?
We're willing to go a little further out. We have in-laws and parents outside, closer to the peninsula and over in San Jose. So as long as we're close to one of them, I think we'll be okay. So we're open to looking out.
Got it. Well, we'll talk more about the purchase. So, well, I mean, well, actually, where would you stay? Actually, once if you sold your house, let's say in 30 days, and we closed in 30 days, where would you go after at that point?
We'll probably stay with my in-laws for a little bit, or maybe my parents, or maybe my brother. We have a few options.
Okay. And that's why you find the next house.
Yes.
Okay. What if I was able to get you a 2-month rent back on and they'll stay in your house, hopefully at no cost? Would that be attractive to you?
That would be. You can do that?
Yes, you can actually. Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware. We're negotiated. Some may want to charge, but often we can try to get it even for free sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. That's a good option. Well, so I mean, looking around your house, I'm seeing. What do you think? Are there any little things that we need to fix on the house based on that that I might not be able to see?
No, I think we did a lot of maintenance the last couple of years. We added double pane windows, and I think maybe the carpet could be replaced. I think it's been there since we bought it, so we haven't done anything to the carpets and the floors, and where we didn't even paint when we first moved in. So maybe carpet and paint could be refreshed.
Sure.
Yeah, everything else seems okay. We updated our bathroom and kitchen, so I think that should be fine.
Yeah, that's great, and yeah, I wish I could see the kitchens. We're on Zoom. We'll definitely swing by after we do our initial talk here. By the way, we have all the folks already. We have preferred vendors for carpet and paint and all that, so we can manage all that for you, so you wouldn't have to worry about anything.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, what about now? Tell me more about your timing. What is your timing looking like on this? Is this something you wanted to do tomorrow? A few months from now, next year? Yeah, what is your timing looking like?
Well, what do you think? I mean, should we, people are talking about the market is going to go down. We want to take advantage before the market goes down. But then at the same time, we don't mind waiting to buy if or when the market goes down. But I don't know what's going to happen. What is your sense being in the market for so long, or being in the industry for so long?
It's a great question. Right now, believe it or not, the inventory level is extremely low in the valley, especially in Silicon Valley here. So you're actually in a prime position to sell. Obviously, we need to talk about pricing later and make sure that we're on the right track there. The key issue to monitor right now is the elections coming up in November. That's probably the one wild card that we have right now. So you might be able to have a little arbitrage opportunity actually. While there's low inventory now, sell. And as we get closer to November, you might have an opportunity to buy if things get a little choppy there. It might work out kind of on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sounds good. So as far as timing goes, we're open. We're willing to move sooner than later. We're kind of bursting at the seams here at our place. So my wife is anxious to get more space.
Well, definitely. Then we should definitely get moving as soon as possible. And we definitely can help you with that. So, all right, I'm going to pause here for a second. It's supposed to be a 5-minute role play. As you guys see, I was just having a conversation and just trying to ask open-ended questions. But Brian gave us a lot of information. Right? You can kind of see, my wife, we're busting at the seams. The kids are going crazy. I'm in a condo, right? And I need to get out of here. You can tell he didn't say it, right? But you can tell it's urgent. Yeah, he said he could wait, but with the market being hot and you know how that family situation goes, right? Eventually somebody snaps and go, I can't handle this anymore. But with this discussion with Brian, look at that. We had multiple opportunities. We have a buy-side opportunity to get at least close to his family. We learned that he's actually open to a rent back, which will be something he didn't know, that you projected yourself as the expert. He also learned that you manage all these different things without directly saying it. And that puts a convenience stamp in his head. And then lastly, that we've discovered that he's quite motivated, right? And so he's already thought this through, and it's been good. Brian, any feedback that we could have done better on that? How'd it go?
No, it was great. It didn't feel like you were selling me at all, really. It just sounded like a conversation I was having just with any of my friends. So It didn't sound like, you sounded like you knew what you were talking about. That you had knowledge to give, but it didn't sound salesy at all.
No, and that's just my style. And again, I know there's people that master scripts and are super good and all that, and it works. So I'm not saying that's wrong. But my style is I just have a conversation, and I feel that really just creates a lot of trust with folks. So I find that to be very helpful. So just remember to ask open-ended questions, and in that dialogue, you're learning, right? You're learning a lot about the seller. They tell you so much, and then yeah, of course they're going to ask you for your expertise, and you need to project that you are the expert. But the goal is to fish out as much information as you can. I'm gonna go next slide here. And oh, I should have asked for an appointment. Oh, we were on the appointment. So what happened there with Brian was he reached out, and immediately I asked for an appointment. And even if it doesn't work out, I always do that. You know, sometimes things just kind of don't work out, or they're not ready. That's okay, right? You have the appointment. He goes, you know, I'm not quite ready yet. So he goes, well, you know, that's fine. We had a great conversation, and if there's anyone, you or your friends or family or colleagues that need anything real estate wise, let me know. I'm happy to help. Again, I don't feel that's salesy at all. I mean, but you have to ask. Remember, these people are not in the business, so they don't think about real estate day and night. But if you ask them, then you plant a seed in their head. It's kind of like the movie Inception, right? You plant the idea in their head, and it's there, and it's triggered when it's actually remembered. They might be talking to Zoom call with their coworkers. Oh, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, house is so small. Oh, I can't stand it. Blah, blah. Oh, you know what? I met a good realtor the other day. I had a really good conversation with him. Let me refer you to him. People do that. Believe it or not, people do this all the time, and that's something that we in our business experience all the time. So, but if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. So just got to plant that seed in people's heads. And then again, you can ask for reciprocity is a powerful thing. When the way I run my business, I'm actually very generous with my time with people in general. There's a guy that called me the other day. Is actually kind of quite sad story actually. Really good friend of my daughter, the one you saw in the video with his daughters, at least one of his daughters. And the wife is a realtor actually, doesn't sell that many houses. And they're probably going to get separated. So he's kind of struggling, and he said, hey, Alan, you know, I need a second opinion because obviously my wife's going to do what's great for her. I don't know if I fully trust her numbers. And I said, okay, no problem. He goes, and I'll pay you for your time. You know, if I was an accountant or a lawyer, sure, sounds great. But as a realtor, I mean, that's kind of weird, right? I don't even know if he would be happy with the bill he got from me for my per hour time. So he was kind of rushing me. I got the request on Thursday, and then Friday I got kind of busy. So they pinged me on Friday night, Friday during the day. Goes, hey, you got anything yet? And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. So Friday night, I'm sitting outside by the fire and just bang out a couple CMAs for him. And he goes, yeah, let me know how much I owe you. And I said, no, I don't owe me anything. I'm just here to help. But why do I do that? Because I have 3 opportunities here. He owns 2 properties, his primary, and then his duplex. And then he also is going to buy a place because he's going to need to buy a place for his child. So I have 3 opportunities for his 3 children when they're split, right? I have 3 opportunities to do business here, right? So why am I going to charge him per hour? I mean, that doesn't seem like the right thing to do when I have an opportunity to make 3 commissions. So I think people appreciate that. And when we could do coffee, I often do consultations, especially buyer consultations at coffee shops. I always buy coffee, and I always buy the biggest cup you can imagine, right? Whatever they say. Actually, one of my clients, he laughs. He asked for an espresso. He said 1 shot espresso. So I got him like a venti, huge coffee, and he couldn't sleep. I think maybe for 2 days. So every time he sees me, he goes, Alan, I want a tiny. But I feel being generous is the way to go, right? Don't be cheap, right? Pay for the coffee. Pay for, sometimes if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner time, I'll get some pastries or a sandwich or something. I don't care if they ask for it. And just be generous. And I've seen, honestly, I don't know if you guys read the book Give and Take by Adam Grant. Excellent book. There are 3 types of people in life. They're the givers, the matchers, and the takers. It's pretty easy to understand which one, what these mean. Givers are people that are really just giving people with no strings attached. Matchers are, these people, right? You bring over some blueberry muffins out of the goodness of your heart, and then the next day they bring you something because they felt bad, right? So they're matching you. The third type are takers. They just take, and never do anything back for you, right? You treat 10 meals, they don't even treat one, right? Those types. And Adam Grant he was actually talking at the KW family reunion about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and goes, who do you guys think does better in life? And everyone thought the takers did. Everyone thought the takers were the ones that did better in life. And the answer was yes. In the short run, the takers do better in life. They take and then they win in the short run. However, in the long run, they don't. The long run, the givers do better because people will do anything for givers. Right? People love givers. People, especially in our business, if you're a giving person and you're authentic and you know your stuff and people like you, trust you, and are not scared of referring people to you, you will do so well in this business. And that's where, especially in our business, I think being a giver is the way to go. So please try. Don't be who you aren't. If you're not a giver, don't pretend. People will know, right? But try to find it in your heart to be that person because it really, really pays dividends in real estate, in my opinion. Pre-qualifying sellers. Again, understanding motivation, kind of like we did with Brian in our talk. Position yourself as the expert. Do you hear he asked me a question? What do you think? It's okay to say, I don't have a crystal ball, right? It's okay to say that, but you should have an opinion. If you're hemming and hawing and stuttering over yourself and they're going to go, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. You're going to get this question multiple times a week if you're doing real estate. What do you think the market's going? You better have an opinion on the subject if you're a realtor. You can say I don't have a crystal ball, just to make sure you don't get in trouble, but you need to position yourself as the expert. You heard me, I have my opinion. I think things are great right now if you're a seller. I think as a buyer, it kind of sucks. Right now, my agent just texted me, they're running an offer in Fremont. It looks like a bloody disaster as far as a competition is concerned. There's 30 disclosures out. It's in Warm Springs, not even a Mission, by the way. There's 2 offers in hand, already 200K over list, and our client wants to go list, right? And we've told him, I don't think this is going to work, but it's his first offer. We're going to let him have it, right? We'll give him his trading offer. But we've told him, I'm not sure this offer is going to work, but it's okay. We'll write it for you. No problem. By the way, I know you got contingencies. It is what it is. I'm just tell you, this makes the offer a little bit weaker. The lender said they can't waive it. That's okay. Then we just go for it, right? 7 days, we write 7 days. But just what you know, we might look weaker than the offers, right? We are the experts, right? And we're not pushing them. We're telling them what to do. We're just telling the pros and cons. So yeah, the pros, you're safe. The cons, we might look weak, right, against a non-contingent offer. But talking to your lender, we can't waive it. So let's just go in with it. Understand that it might be a weakness. There's nothing we can do. If we don't win this house, please spend the next 7 days getting yourself underwritten so that we can write a strong offer. Right? Position yourself as the expert. When it comes to sellers, win the listing, right? They are looking at you on multiple fronts. Do they like you? Do they trust you? Can they work with you? Can you sell their home? And all they care, honestly, is can you sell their home for top dollar, in the shortest amount of time, and the least amount of hassle? The price is the hardest one. Sellers often always overprice their house. And so you need to kind of dance a dance where you got to be careful, right? If they say my house is worth 2.5 million and you run the comps and it's only worth 2.3, you got a problem here, right? If you tell them, oh yeah, we'll get 2.5, you're gonna get fired in a month. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but the problem is if you commit too low, then some agents come in 2.5 and then you're gonna lose the house. So you kind of have to do this really tricky balance. I like to give a range. I like to give a high, medium, low, especially when I haven't seen the house yet. I don't know the condition. So I'll look at all the comps and I'll come up with a high, medium, low. Okay. And I'll have that range. And if I haven't seen the house, I will always give the range. Because what happens if the house is worth 2.3 and you go in and it's a dump, right? And it's worth only 2, right? Or 2.1 at best. There's 200K of upgrades. I don't want to be set up where I said 2.3 and then suddenly the house is the dump, right? So I like to do high, medium, low. So I usually just give a range. And when I actually go there, I'll know in my mind already which one I'm going to go with. By the time I see the condition, I'll have the number in my mind. But there are different ways to manage this. I don't recommend you take the listing and try to sell it for an impossible number if you don't think you can do it. You're just going to set yourself up for failure. It might be better to just let someone else do that, let it sit. It may not be worth the pain, right? But I mean, it's up to you on what you want to do there. But I personally don't like to deal with that because I'm setting expectations too high that I can't achieve, right?
Alan, I have a
yes.
question.
Yes.
What if you say to them, if you're really dead set on this and in your opinion it has value, would you write a listing that says if we don't get an offer in 14 days that you will agree to lower it by some factor? So that we have a basis to work together. I'm not giving up on you.
Yes.
I want you to at least work with me on
seeing
if there's any real offers, knowing that we usually close in 30 days in this market. And after 15, if we don't even have a live offer, maybe it's time.
Correct. I mean, honestly, right now in this market, we don't really know, right? Things are, every house kind of pushing the last one a little bit, right? A little bit. So it is possible. So here's the thing. We don't always really know, right? The comps are saying, it's talking about the past. The future is the future. So you also don't want to be an idiot if you do hit 2.5, right? So it's one of those things where, yeah, you can say, you know what? The numbers are not saying that we're going to get 2.5 right now. However, let's do this. Let's test this out. The market is ultimately going to dictate value, right? All the numbers I'm showing you are the past. If you have a pending comp, that would be the best. If you have a pending comp that matches, that would be the best. If you don't have that, then you can say, let's test this out. Let's work together. Let's not make this about you, me, right? Let's work together as a team. Let's test this out. We'll test this out for 2 weeks. We'll test this number 249. However, in 2 weeks, if we don't sell, you're gonna use the other list price that I mentioned, which I feel we should go with at 239 or whatever, 229, or whatever number you feel, right, that is the best number to get that kind of bump up. And yes, you definitely could do that. And that's what I was going to go with that. Make it a team effort, right? Make it not about him against you, that we're going to try this together, that the market will ultimately dictate the value, the buyers will dictate the value, and we'll test it out. But just 2 weeks after this, it doesn't work, you'll go with this number. Can we agree on that? And usually the sellers go, yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah, because they're engineers, they know everything.
Yeah, they do, right? Redfin said this, Zillow said that. Oh gosh, right? But again, work on it as a team, right? You don't want to be combative because then they're not going to sign with you, right? Yeah, you want to make it so that we're a team, and we really only can do our best, right? We don't know what the market is going to dictate. So I think that's where.
And I have a question for you on the RPM, where they give value based on criteria. Do you ever show the RPM estimates of value with the range in it right then at the presentation as a sample of information?
You know, there's an agent of mine that does that. If the RPM score is really high, they'll use the RPM. I don't use that as much. I actually just run my own comp and I come up with my own numbers. I like my own numbers more. So I don't know. I just trust my own analysis more than RPM. I don't know how they come up with that number. So yeah, it just depends on the confidence level. One of my agents uses it and he swears by it, but I really like to run my own analysis, frankly. So whatever your style is, right? If you're finding the RPM with the high score is good and you're finding it really accurate, sure, go and use that number. I just do a quick CMA and I like the way the grid is done, like list price, sell price, and then I look at condition and then I narrow it down by polygon. So I don't know, sometimes I don't know if they do it that way where they narrow it down to a certain neighborhood. And I'm always scared that, you know, if you're on the border of, you know, West San Jose, that suddenly it's grabbing homes from Lynbrook when it's not Lynbrook, you know, high school, you know, things like that. I worry. So I like to control my own comps, but to each their own, set expectations, right? And you want a great customer experience, right? You don't want, again, like I said, if he's dead set on 2.5, well, let's say this person dead set on 2.75, you know, 100% sure that that's not going to work.
No.
Yeah, you may not want to sign this listing because
waste of time.
It's well, it's, you know, yes and no, right? Listings are leverage, and so maybe a listing's a listing, right? You sign it, you know it's unreasonable, but you never know, right? You put it out there, your sign's in the yard, you're getting calls. Maybe there's somebody off a cold lead that calls you. It's an opportunity, but I would just say don't spend too much on it, right? Don't be throwing too many things in. Don't be paying for the staging. Don't be I actually made this mistake in a house in Los Gatos Mountains. It's a beautiful house. The seller way overpriced it, and because it was a luxury house, I was spending a lot of money. I put it into Luxury Home Magazine. The guy was like pushing me around all over, not pushing me around, but he was like, oh, hey, let's try this, let's try that. So it was my first time doing a luxury house. So I said, okay, well, yeah, maybe we'll advertise it in China, put it on their website. We'll do this, that, and that, and that. And it was I think I dropped a good, pretty penny on that house. And he was way overpriced. It was a weird house. It was hard to comp. And he actually went with another realtor and still took that guy another 8 months to sell it. And he did all kinds of tricks, dropped it to under $1 million, didn't like the offers he got, blah, blah, blah. And he was trying to get 3.8 mil for this house, eventually sold it for 2.7, right? And so stupid Alan, being the first time doing that, I dropped a lot of money on that house, and it was not a wise move. So if you get the sense that it's way overpriced, watch your expenses, because you can be hung out to dry. You can even draft a contract where the seller splits the expenses with you. That's another way. But again, if they don't sell, they may not pay you back, right? So just watch those expenses. But again, you want a good customer. And sometimes it might be no, we're not a fit, right? If you know that this seller is painful, you look at the seller, you can tell they're stubborn and they're hard to work with, and they're stubborn on their price. You may not want to sign it. It may not be worth it, right? Not worth the pain. Not only will you not close the deal, you have a lot of headache through it. I mean, I tell you, I rarely fire clients, but there are some clients that, I remember a client we were shouting at each other on the phone on a Sunday afternoon when I'm at the Oakland Zoo with my kids, and he's just, trying to haggle me down on commission when I've worked my tail off. I was not happy, right? He's just that kind of guy. You knew it when you met him. Some clients, unless you really need the business, some are just not worth it, especially if they're overpriced. So you might need if you find that you can set their expectations, that you can tell that, there's certain tells. If the seller lives in the house, showing is going to become painful for them. So I have a listing in Cambrian. He was overpriced, but he was really realistic, really nice guy. After 15 days already, he goes, Alan, I feel like we're overpriced. I said, wow, I've never heard a seller say that before. I said, that's fine. I still have active leads, so let me make sure these leads all die before we drop the price. So on day 25, all the leads were dead. There's no point in dropping the price if your leads are still active, right? There's no point. Why would you do that, right? If the leads are active, then you leave it. But then the leads went cold. So on day 25, which is about the time anyways, right? It's coming up on the 30 days. I dropped it 100K. Dropped it 100K. It was still kind of tough. And I can tell he's getting tired by people coming in. And that's very motivating, right? If you're sick of cleaning your house and leaving every time there's a showing, they get more and more motivated, okay? It's a sad thing, right? It's a sad thing. It is what it is. If it's vacant and they're in Canada, they don't feel the pain. But if they're getting scheduled, making appointments, they do, and they get tired. So about day, it's funny. So about day, 45? 10 days later, after we dropped the price, he called me and said, Alan, I want to pull the listing. You know what? If we don't get anything by this weekend, I want to pull the listing off. And I said, you know what? I'm here to support you, whatever you want to do. I said, I still have active leads though. So we talked, and then Monday came by, and then we got a verbal lowball. It was another 100K under, right? What we dropped before. And it was verbal, not in writing. I told him, think about it. He called me the next day. He goes, Alan, my wife and I talked, we would take that offer. I said, wow, okay. I said, well, before you do that, I still have active leads, right? So I said, it's good to know that you're willing to take that. And it's good to know that worst case, we do a price drop to that level and see if there's anybody else around. But let me work these leads. So out of nowhere, on day 49, this guy, the verbal guy, he's kind of dancing around. He's not writing. I get a call from another agent. And she goes, can we show? She goes, you should ask me all these questions. She calls me. I love this house. Our clients love this house. We're going to write. Okay, great. Finally, this verbal guy kind of gets his head out of the bushes and says, oh, I'm going to write. Okay, great. And then another gal, she comes and shows the house, calls me and says, I love this house. We're going to write. So I'm like, whoa, what the heck is going on, right? Day 49. I'm scratching my head. Where were you guys, right? But whatever. I'm not going to complain. So is this interesting to you? Do you guys want me to show you what happened?
Yes.
Okay, let me pull up the let me pull up something here. If this is interesting for you, let me show how this played out. Because I think this is the stuff you guys really want to learn. How do you play this game, right? You know what? I don't know if I don't have the. Sorry, this one went so fast that I didn't have the. I usually build an off grid. So just let me tell you how it worked. Okay, so the verbal 1.6 million guy saw the pool inspection, dropped his price to 1.55. Okay, mind you, 1.79 we're listed at 169. All the low balls are coming. So he's at 155. He writes it up, sends it in. I get another agent who I work with this year, and I told her the other offer came in. So she was going to go 155 as well, but she ended up going 158 with a contingent sale. Okay, that's in contract and non-contingent. So I'm telling these two that they got to come up to at least a 1.6. Otherwise, the client, the seller doesn't want to take anything under 1.6. He already told me that. Okay. So I'm working these two. And then the third offer comes in, and she has had all kinds of DocuSign problems all day. I've been stalling the other two, right, to wait for them to come in. And so with her, I took a different tact. She called me and said, hey, I saw you just dropped the price. That's not true. I dropped it 13 days ago. So whatever she wants to think, I didn't say anything. So I saw you just drop the price. How are your sellers feeling? I know how it is. When they just drop the price, I go, yeah, they like to really get close to that number. I got my poker face on, right? They'd really like to get close to that number because they just dropped the price. You're right. They're not too excited about that. By the way, I have two other offers. I didn't tell her what the offers looked like. Right? Between us and the son, those two offers were awful, right? I mean, we don't really like them. She goes, okay. So she finally gets me the offer. She was almost about to drive it to my house, by the way, because she had all kinds of technical problems. She sends it to me. It's 9:30 at night. The offer one's already expired at 5. The other lady sent it in. She expires tomorrow. And I played my cards right. How many people play poker in here? Anybody play poker? Anybody play poker? I hope you do. Because real estate's a poker game. So I bluffed her, right? I told her, based on what she told me, some agents talk too much, right? Don't talk too much. You're giving away your position. She gave away her position. She said she said her buyers love this house because it reminds them of their house that they're selling. Exactly the same, but bigger. They wanted a bigger house, same style. So I already know her buyers really like the house. She's coming in thinking that this is super competitive, right? Because of the price drop, yeah, it is, but not really, right? And then she didn't read her notes well enough to see when I dropped the price. She thought I just dropped it, which I didn't. So she made a mistake on that side. You know what? Hold on. Let me look on the call and make sure this person's not on my call. All right, good. So she comes in, guess what? 1.66 million. What? Yes. 1.66 million. By the way, my client negotiated with me, by the way. He goes, Alan, if I have to take 1.6, I need you to take a haircut too. And that's what he said to me at the time when he was thinking about the 1.6. And I said, you know what? That's fair, right? I was hoping to get you 1.8. We didn't get 1.8. We're in this together. I'll knock off like a half point or something, right? Down to 2. We're in this together, right? We're in this mess together. So I presented this offer. There's short contingencies. And then, but yeah, I'm not in a position to push because the other ones all had contingencies, right? I called him right away. I said, I suggest you sign this right now before they change their mind. And so, we inked it. And the other two offers were sad, but they weren't going to come up to 1.66. I knew that, right? Maybe 1.6, maybe 1.61, 1.62, but they weren't going to come up to 1.66. And there it goes. And I told my client, can I keep my commission now? Have I earned it? It was absolutely. So there you go, right? So you can still adjust. My point is you can still adjust in these things. And if it's owner occupied, they get more and more motivated to sell. He went from, I want to pull the listing to suddenly super excited, super happy. So knock on wood, contingencies for the loan and property were released yesterday. And then I don't know what's going on in the appraisal. So waiting on the appraisal, I don't think it's going to matter. These guys had 800K down, 50% down, really solid. So a lesson, you guys learn a lot of lessons in this, right? If you have active leads, don't drop the price. Right? You only do that when there's no action. And then play your cards right? Listen, right? Just like you listen to the sellers, listen to the other agent. Especially agents talk too much, you can get a lot of information out of them. And if you're on the flip side, try not to give away too much. It's a poker game, right? Be careful who you're up against. If they smell, oh, and by the way, I had another call from a top agent who had a listing down the street. He called me and said, hey, Alan, how's it going? Oh, good, good, good. How's that listing? I'm like, at the time, I said, I got a potential offer coming. Oh, I have an offer in hand at 155. And his house is a little bit smaller because we're at 2,400. He's at 2,100. He goes, yeah, we've been sitting on the market for a while. We got an offer at 145. I said, wow, 145? Well, that seems kind of low. He goes, yeah, but the seller's probably going to take it. I'm like, really? I said, you know, Linnell down the street is in contract for 155. And then he goes, huh. Oh, well, he goes, I'll probably just take it anyways. I was kind of disappointed in him. I kind of felt like either his seller's really desperate, needs to sell, or he's just trying to get it over with, right? I don't know. I don't want to judge him. I just kind of scratching my head on that one. But I was afraid that this agent was going to call the agent for that pending house nearby. But you know what I sensed? That she was too busy. She was slammed. I could tell. She was really busy. Husband's out of town. They got a lot of customers. And she wasn't doing her homework. Right. So on the buy side, you got to run those CMAs. Call the pendings, right? They way overpaid. Way overpaid, right? If she had called the pending, she would have knew that was probably more like 155. And even if she wanted to win, going to 160 is okay, but she's 60K over. But that's not my problem, right? So when you're on the buy side, be good. On the sell side, you take advantage when you can, because that's what you got to do. It's a poker game, right? When you're playing poker, you see that, you know, you're at the turn. You can see them. Oh, I'll put in 5.
Alan, I'm going to ask you the question. I had a seller who was so anxious to sell, and she just didn't. Her daughter told her to put it at the listing price. I said, it's too low. I said, we should go higher. I knew that it should have been way higher. I said, can we go up? No, my daughter said. And then I said, okay, let's wait. We only have one good, strong offer. We're only in the market like 14 days. It takes time to sell a $3 million house. But she had all these people telling her what to do. Yeah. And I had nothing to say other than, when is it coming in? When's the offer? I need to sign. She already purchased another house because she just had to know where she was going before she got out of this one. So when you have this situation and you are the expert, you actually want to play the game, you know how to play it, you know what's the right number, and everyone's giving her misinformation.
She was a seller?
The seller is getting in her ear, oh, she's not getting you the right offer. This is taking too long. And I say, just hang on. You know, we're going to get more offers. We don't have others, but we will get. This person is hanging on. So just be patient another week or two. What's the big difference? It's $3 million. I didn't tell her 3, but I felt that she would have gotten 3 when she took 285, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes people can't get out of their own way, right?
They can.
So I mean, you can only lead a horse to water. They don't want to drink. That's nothing you can do. The only thing I can tell you is if you have, these are called phantom sellers, or phantom buyers, right? People that are in their ear, but they're not really part of the decision-making process. The best thing I can tell you is do this. Try to loop them in to all the conversations. Because you know what? It sounds like you value the opinion of your sister or your mom or your dad a lot. Is that accurate? Yeah, I do. I love them to death. Great. I think we should keep them involved in the process. Can you give me all their emails so that I can loop them in every time we have an update? Can they join all the calls every time I call and I'm going to give you an update so that we can work on this together as a team? That's what I would recommend. That's how you solve that problem. Make them feel heard. Make them feel like their 2 cents matters. But they can hear you at the same time. My buyer did this. I've been looking at homes for 3 years with them, okay? Driving down to Pleasanton, Danville. The only reason I do this is because they're buying 3 to 4 mil. Otherwise, that's not even my market, right? And they speak Cantonese, so I can't delegate. And they're great people. I love them. It's in mom, dad, and son. That's been the same crew that we've been going out with for the last 3 years. We found this house they like. Yeah, it's got some issues. I mean, it's like a guy who's collecting everything since the 1800s. So the house is just blah. I mean, there's too much crap there, right? But the house is amazing. The workmanship is good and the view is amazing. And that's what the husband wants. He wants a view. Like, that's his thing. So of course, if you just join the party, you're going to look at this house and go, what in the heck is Alan showing them? So that's what happened. They brought their daughter in. The daughter goes, I hate this house. Of course she said that, right? And So they text me, so yeah, my daughter hates this house. And I text back and I said, guys, I want to be really honest. I understand she hates this house, but she hasn't been with us every showing for the last 3 years. I'm going to reiterate your priorities, Uncle Ken, right? Uncle Ken, your priorities are, you wanted a view because you live Oakland Hills right now. You want a view like that. This house has the view. You want, and then the wife wanted a big house. This house is huge. I mean, it's like 7,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms. She wanted big, 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 big. He wanted gated community, safety. This is double gated. There's 2 gates. I mean, there's one in the main one. There's also another gate. And I said, yes, the condition is a little older, but out of everything you want, this is the only thing we can control. And I just want to tell you, to be very fair, your daughter hasn't been with us the last 3 years to understand why we got here. Right. So, I mean, I'm not trying to, discount her opinion. And then when I talked to him again face to face, he goes, Alan, I get it. You don't have to explain it to me. Because if she wants something, she can go buy her own house. This is my house. Right. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's paying for this. It's not like she's paying for it. And she's not even staying in the house. Right. So, so that's sometimes you just got to bring all the decision makers together. And if this continues, I'm going to say, I'm not showing any houses until all of your kids are with us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I'm just not doing it. And that's why in my consultations, I will ask, are there any other stakeholders that I should be aware of? Right? Is mom and dad in India going to be a major decision maker? Because if they are, then they're going to need to join all of our calls because they need to go with us together. If your mom and dad are big decision makers, we need to go look at houses together so we can learn together.
Yeah.
And that's very important. Otherwise, someone's basically you need to get them up to speed, right? How do we get here? And it's easy for someone who doesn't know anything to say no, right? And so, yeah, that's what I would do, Sheila, on that. All right. Let's see. We're coming up against it here. Why don't we take a quick break? Everyone go use the facilities, get some water, and be back in 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Thank you. Very good.
Okay.
Good job.
Mm-hmm. Here. Hi, girl. How are you? Good, good. I'm teaching a class to some new agents this morning, so a little break here. Yeah. Yeah, so I launched my own Keller Williams franchise actually, but no, this is something all top agents do. So we just it's called Ignite. It's a realtor a new series for newer agents, but although we have quite a few veterans in here too, the agents are doing well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the way to do it. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I don't know because people are probably. I haven't called anyone since the initial call on Monday. Let me just check the disclosure count. And people are funny; they always just kind of wait till 2 and drop it in, right? So that's usually what I see. So yeah, I don't have any other. Let me see if I can at least get you a disclosure count right now. Give me a sec. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we had 9 disclosures. Not bad. I haven't been seeing, again, I think the numbers are the same. I have maybe 2 or 3 people that have been asking me questions, kind of like you. But who knows, right? They got to put it in writing, and so that's where I'm at. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not
Yeah.
want. He lieth me in green pastures.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love to work with you. You've been very diligent. So yeah, let's put this together. No, you're not. Oh gosh, you know what? I am. If you should see, I have a long email drafted for a house that contingencies are due, and I am a pain in the neck. Yeah. Well, I mean, she didn't have a roof inspection, so I did a roof inspection. I found $3,000 of stuff. I didn't know her termite company, so I had a termite company come in, and I found $5,000 of termite stuff that wasn't on her report. Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna ask, right? I'm gonna ask for some adjustment, and then I discovered that her house was about 300 square foot less than what she advertised on MLS. I know, so this is a disaster. So you know what's coming, a big ask, right? Yeah, so you're not bad. I'm pretty bad. So no, we just gotta do our job, right? So that's what it is. All right. Well, thank you. All right. All right. Thanks. We'll look for your offer. Thanks. Bye bye. Sorry, guys. My Zoom panel is gone and I can't mute myself. So you just got to listen to me negotiate a multiple offer situation. Okay.
That was awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, we have potentially, hopefully, multiple offers coming on Sunnyvale. But here's the thing. Poker, right? We talked about poker. I don't have any offers in hand, so I'm not going to overplay my hand. I mean, nine disclosure packages doesn't mean anything right now in this market. It's a little weird, right? I had a listing in Cupertino. It was crazy busy. 41 visits in 6 days, 20 disclosures. In the end, we have 4 offers, which is not bad. I'm not going to complain. But, during the heyday, it would have been at least 10 offers, right? So a lot of buyers, they heard the competition. They just bowed out. So I'm trying to play my hand. I don't have anything in my hand. So if I don't have anything in my hand, I'm not going to push her, right? I want her to get it in. So you guys hear me talk a lot about poker. I didn't finish my analogy earlier. For example, right? If you see an agent who I was talking about the turn, right? You have the turn, you see the other person in front of you putting just a little bit, right? And you've got a really good hand. You push your hand, right? I mean, you don't let them see that next card, right? I mean, you don't want to, them to see what's on the final card of the river. You don't want to give them that opportunity, right? So you got to push them out now. I mean, it's kind of the same in real estate, right? If you have a strong hand, push, right? And Ruben right now has an offer out on my team. The agent came back. He had 2 offers 2 days, like 2 days ago, or 1 day ago, yesterday. He had 2 offers in hand, and he said straight up, because this is going to go over 2 million. And you wouldn't say that if you weren't sure. Right? You wouldn't say that if you weren't sure. So, all right, well, let's jump back in. I hope everyone got a good break. KW provides a lot of resources, so this is pretty cool. The pre-listing questionnaire. I kind of do this in my own head already, but if you need a guide, it's in your Ignite materials as well, but I dug it up. You could use this. You could actually bring this and you can ask them questions. And so agents actually, I don't do this personally, but some people have them fill this out beforehand and say it's very effective. I actually kind of just do it while I'm there, but because no one really fills it out. But you can try this. I very, very effective around the nation. There are some agents that swear by this. Like, hey, if you don't fill this out, I'm not talking to you. I'm not sure I would go that strong on it, but how did you hear? How did you hear about me? Where are you moving to? What's your motivation to move there? How soon do you have to be there? Well, this kind of questions Brian and I were talking, but not in such a robotic way. If we sell your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? If yes, what's the problem? What would happen if your home did not sell? How much do you want to list your home for? How much do you own this property? I'll be sending you a packet of information. Questions before I make decision. Any other decision makers? So Sheila, to your point, right? Are there any other decision makers? They better be there. And this is how long it would take. So it's a nice kind of pre-screening if you want to do this. Has anyone done a pre-screening like this before? I kind of just do this when we show up, because often it's just, hey, I want to sell my house, and then boom, tomorrow I'm there, right? So I mean, there's not a lot of time to send this and get them to fill it all out. I've rarely had a seller have me over 5-10 days from now, right? To have time to do all this. But does anyone have any experience with this that has success?
I don't know, but I think it's way too cold. You could just be a machine. It doesn't work.
So yeah, I think so too. I think if you just take this to the meeting and just ask it in your own words, kind of like Brian and I were having a conversation,
Right.
I like that better. Lately, honestly, I have a listing presentation just like everyone else does. It was from Michael Lewis, and I kind of made it my own. When I go to a listing appointment, I don't flip through it. I just don't. I really just build rapport with the seller. I cover these questions in different ways. And then I show them the data, of course. And I tell them all the services we're going to offer. I talk about my fees. And then I ask them, what's the next step? Are you comfortable or not? I'm not the kind of guy who makes them force them to sign right there at that point in time. I figured, people do need to think about it. But that's something that's my style, and it works for me. And a lot of agents I talk to seems to work. But you kind of have to figure out who's across from you at the table, right? You have to do a DISC profile. If they're a D, they're not gonna, this will probably work. Hey, tell me these questions, answers. All right, he's the one on your bottom line. How much is my house worth? How long is it gonna take to sell? And then, all right, get out of here, right? If it's an I, they're gonna really want to build that relationship with you, right? Really talk, a lot of socializing, talking about the kids, your background, all that. If it's an S and C, then perhaps more about the procedures, right? The steps that they need. They're thinking step-by-step plans and compliance, and how does your team follow those models? Let's see. Are there two people
Alan, I had a question again. Yeah. Right at the presentation, you tell them up front about the fee structure, and you tell them what you do in terms of providing them things that they can't find on Redfin and Zillow and things like that, in terms of finding an agent who can pay less. Because, that's always an issue. Why am I paying you when I can get it for X? So,
I cover fees at the end.
You do.
Because it's always an awkward conversation. Because I'm fishing along to see what they need. And then while I do that, I'm trying to build my package in my head as to what I might include, what I might not include. And for me, I really kind of thought about it before I went to the house. If it's sub $1 million, I try to not throw anything in, because it may not be worth the expenses, right? And Sheila, I know you mentioned expenses at a very high level. I mean, let me think here. Basic marketing expenses probably run about, I'm just talking about putting up a property website, the 3D tour, drone videos, boosting on Facebook, printing out flyers for the house, doing circle farming. It should be between 1,000 to 1,500 max.
That's it?
Right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, but
I spent way more and I got a less appreciation. That's crazy.
Well, no, that's just for the marketing, right? I mean, that's for like basic marketing, just like kind of basic stuff that you do. Obviously, if you do the newspaper, that's going to cost more. I mean, the MLS does a lot of heavy lifting for us, right, on the marketing side, syncing to all the sites and all that. But let's round it up to 1,500. That's like basic marketing expenses. And then now you're thinking, okay, if I throw in staging, you have to know those numbers, right? How much is my stager charge? Is it a small house, 2,000? Is it 2,500? Is it 3,000? Is it 3,500? And then you got to think about the cleaning. Are you throwing in cleaning? Are you doing general cleaning? Are you going to do a full clean?
Repairs, you name it.
Yeah, repairs I don't pay for. Repairs, that's fixing their house, right? That they understand that's improving their property if it doesn't sell. But I do pay, and I let them reimburse me afterwards if I know the house is going to sell. If it's a seller I feel is a little iffy, I won't offer that, meaning that they're not going to sell with the overpriced, right? I won't necessarily offer that, or I'll write it up so they have to pay me back.
I have a question. Because you have a large team that works and supports you, will they see you again? Because you're on to the next. Will you be the negotiator and come back and do the open house? Will you do the contact person when they have to call about a question? I mean, when they ask about a vendor, all the things that I do, because I'm sold right now, total sold.
Yeah.
How far into the connection do you stay, and how far out do you go?
So I'm a level 4 team at KW, which means I'm not a level 7 yet, meaning that I hire my own listing specialist. So for me, the listings are still my baby, unless it's a listing I delegated to somebody else. So yeah, I will. I mean, I won't do the open houses, but I'll be the point of contact though still. So for now, my business is still small enough that I can still manage the listing side. So yeah, no, I come in, I tell them, like, I have a team, right? I basically, when I leave the listing, I write everything down, and then my assistant schedules everything. They do all the back end. They schedule the inspections, they build a schedule, they do all of that. But what I'm involved is I still write the listing verbiage. I make sure everything looks good. They update them, but any calls that come in, I take them. Minus right now with all the P stuff. I let my assistant deal with all the P. It's a mess.
Do you pay the assistant separate?
Yeah, I pay them. They're hourly workers, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so I still do every week. I call all the agents. My assistant dumps everybody into a list, and I call them, and I work the leads, and then I deal with all the negotiation, all that. But all the back end stuff, the assistants handle: inspections, stagers, all that stuff. I still go to the house, check on it before the photos, things like that. So the open houses I don't do anymore. I have other people do open houses, but I have a checklist of things that I hand to open house agent. This is all the frequently asked questions, so you don't get stuck when you're there. Brian knows, Kenny knows, a lot of folks on this call have done my open houses. They get a list of the frequently asked questions. So.
And so you pay them by the hour for the back end work that they do?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
I've gone 100% virtual now. Given COVID, I let my full-time assistant go, and I have 2 virtual assistants right now because nobody's coming in anyways except me.
Right.
Yeah. Sheila, if you need an assistant offline, ping me. I do have a service about $10 an hour. You get a virtual assistant. It's been great.
Really? $10 an hour? God,
Yeah. If your business level supports it, obviously lead with revenue. Okay, I'm gonna skip the role play on this one because we kind of did this by an accident already with Brian. You guys get the gist, right? I mean, I think make these questions your own. Right? They're pretty robotic, so I don't know if you want to follow this, but there's ways to make it your own. So use this as a starting point and go from there. Okay, I'm gonna jump into the listing presentation. I'm gonna fire up 1 second here. I'm gonna change to my other desktop here. I wanna jump into Command a little bit and talk about a listing presentation. Uh-oh. All right. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. For those of you, maybe I should start over, who don't use Command. Agent.kw.com is how you get to Command and you log in with your KW login. What I want to show you is, for those of you that don't have a listing presentation, you can get one created pretty quickly and fairly easily. So on the left, this navigation bar here, you click Design, and you click Add. And you click, let's make a print version. And there's a couple of templates you can get up and running pretty quickly if you want. Obviously, talk to Locke at the office if you guys need. I think we still have Michael Lewis running. Jacqueline, is that right? Do we still have Michael Lewis running? They also have a template as well, but I wanted to show off the KW one. So 2 templates. I like this one. It's pretty nice. And you can just go in and just design your own, make it your own, whatever you want. Obviously, you don't want it to be template, right? You can delete that. You put another picture of your own family in here. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Hold on a second here. So you go back here. So they have some instructions for you. Introduction slide, kind of who are you, right? If you obviously you want to get your own photo in here. So there's also different photos you can use if you want to tell, I'm going mobile. But if you want to add your own photos, you click add, click here. Alan's headshot, it's on my computer. I mean, she's lovely, but I'm not her, so I want myself in here. I got me in here. Whoop, there I am. And you can easily just drag and drop. They make it really easy. I just want to delete her. I'm going to pull myself in here. And then you can change all this. So it's super easy. It's just like PowerPoint, right? And you can create one fairly quickly. And it looks like they have a ton of canned photos too, I just noticed. And so this is pretty cool. I mean, they have some other stuff you can possibly add, but you can add whatever photos you want from Facebook, Instagram, Dropbox, whatever. So yeah, the drag and drop feature is cool, but I really want to talk about content. The first slide obviously is about you, right? You want to talk about you and who you are. You might even want to slide with well, this is an agenda, but for me, this slide is really showcasing who I am. You might have a few, you talk about some of your awards or production or whatever makes you shine. You should talk about that here. Looks like for this one, they actually put in some recent listings. Well, they actually put the CMA in here of the property itself, which is kind of cool. So that's already here. You can put your CMA in here or whatever you want. And that's pretty neat to have that in here. So super customized, right, to their taste. I kind of do it differently. I have a canned presentation and then I have loose leaves of data that I put into the folder, but we can't even do folders now. So this is probably a better idea where you have it in here already as digital format, so you can actually email it out to them, right? You can even focus a little bit more on this area and have a nice infographic. People love infographics. Hey, did you know the average sales price in the area is this? And then the sold price is this. So people are actually overpricing their house in your neighborhood. There are actually 9 actives right now and 12 pendings. People love this stuff because it's more visual, right? So you can just take your CMA and just sanitize it and then shove it in here. And you can have one per every house you go to. And then, more comparables here. I definitely do that a lot. I talk, quickly about my team and why you want to use us. And then I jump right into the comparables. They really want to know how much their houses are worth, right? That's really what they want. And if you do happen to go line by line into this, I guess you can talk to these things. Oh, this is my customer service level. This is the process. A lot of people don't know what the process is, right? Obviously, we don't have an attorney review. So you can walk them through that. Once you do use the KW app, you might want to showcase that. Here's the marketing plan. This is what I do for you. And you can go through there. How do we find your buyer? Here's our promotional assets. Again, you can delete what you don't use or you don't do or you feel is not a value add. But if you do all these things, definitely note all these things. And strategic promotions. So there's a lot of talk about marketing and kind of the steps that you do. So this satisfies the S&C, so you have a checklist. Then there's the open house strategy where we can't really do them right now. So you might want to take this one out right now at this point. Unless you're doing the virtual open house, then perhaps you can pitch them on that. Details, again, market what you do. Excuse me. The real experience, I actually would probably rather move this to the top. I think that about me is better up top. I don't know why it's down here. So I would move this down here. It's really pretty though. I like these 2 slides actually. They look quite nice with the infographic talking about you and your awards. You might want to consolidate some of this, but you might want to be at the top there. But KW is important as well. So frankly, I would say about you, KW. The reason for KW is you want to get KW out of the way. If I came in there as Alan Wang Realty Group, I'm pretty much a no name. Right? Well, who the heck's Alan Wang Realty Group? But if I come in as a Keller Williams, I'm part of Keller Williams, We're the biggest in the nation. We sell the most homes with the most volume, the most, all three categories with just the best of the best, with the biggest brokerage. They go, oh, okay, check. And then you move on. You're just trying to avoid that question as well, who are you? Right? Why are you in front of me? Because Coldwell Banker is going to come, oh, we've been in business for over a century, blah, 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 right? Compass is going to come in and say, oh, we're the new company on the block, blah, 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 right? So you got to come in and at least get this out of the way. That we're Keller Williams, we're the largest brokerage in the nation. Across all categories, we sell the most homes for the most money. Any questions? No? I have any questions? Great. Next slide. And then you can start running into the comps, etc. So again, there's quite a bit here. I don't know that you want all of this. And I don't think you're going to go through this. This is really just reading material for them when you leave. But for me, I think about us, about who are you, right? Who is your team? Why should we use you? What are you about? Who's KW? Comparables, and then what do you do to sell my house? I mean, that's really the key things. The rest is just nice to have, and they just be in there, but you don't have to cover every single slide in your presentation. Is that pretty cool? Has anyone ever played with this?
So,
I was looking at it last night. As a
Good.
matter of fact. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's really easy. It's just like PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly.
So, really, really cool. And because each of you have your own message, right? And you don't want to use this canned thing because everyone's got the same thing. You got to make it your own. Bring in your own photos, right? So. All right, I'm going to move on now. But yeah, I have really changed my model to just, I used to go in and do the formal presentation. It always felt a little stiff to me. Give me 1 second here. Something's wrong with my PowerPoint. Where'd it go? There it is. It always felt kind of stiff to me. So I like to just keep a casual conversation and then get down to business at the end, but not be a robot going through all
yeah.
that. Hold on a second, wrong screen. Share. Desktop 2. Okay. Everybody see the deck?
Yes.
Okay. For the sake of time, I'm not necessarily going to practice a listing presentation, but I'll give you a really quick pitch of how I do it. Maybe that'll help you out. I basically come in, I get to know them, and I will tell them, because I have lost listings because I didn't pitch myself enough. And Sheila, I'm imagining you might suffer from the same problem because you seem to be kind of like me, a very humble guy. You don't want to, show off too much or be too pushy, right? But we do need to assert our credentials if we can, if you have them, because somebody else will, right, if you don't. So the first thing I do when I meet him, and I try not to make it, I tell him, yeah, Alan Wang, Keller Williams Realty, our company is the largest in the nation, right, by all metrics. Right? We have the most agents in the nation. We sell the most amount of homes for the most amount of money. And also my team, we're blessed to say this, we're in top 100, ranked top 100 in the nation, and but we still maintain very high quality of our service level because we are really referral based. You refer to us. We want customers for life, and that's how we run our business. Honesty and integrity are number one, and we make sure that we fight for you always. And then you kind of move on. And you try to not make it a pitch, but I weave this in during the conversation because I just want to make sure that they know. I've actually had sellers really give us kudos for being highly ranked team. And it's really, really important that you tell them that because they give you props for that, especially if it's cold. If it's a cold lead, you need to assert your numbers, or if you have them, right? You assert your experience. Whatever it is, if I've been in business 30 years, you need to assert that because I've been in the business for 30 years. I have a lot of experience. You need to put that out there because they're planting to see, especially in the cold customer's mind, because they're analyzing everybody. Okay, well, how long has he been doing it? How many houses does he sell? What's their volume? Like they have it because people are pitching these things. You have to plant those seeds in their mind, right? So you have to do that. But then then I tour their house. I take a look at their home. And of course, you got to compliment them on the home. Lovely upgrades, really nice. Wow, most buyers will love this. Obviously, be genuine about it. And then also be honest about it too. But don't over bash them until you get the listing contract, right? Oh my gosh, this upgrades are horrible. We got to change it. Be sensitive, right? They love their house. You got to love their house. You got to do that lip service in the beginning. Right? Then I sit down and really talk about their expectations and just listen. The same drill we did earlier. What do you plan to do? Where do you plan to go? What were you thinking? What were you thinking about selling? What kind of pricing did you have in your mind? And usually they keep that close to the chest because they want to hear what you're going to say. So you come and you do your high, medium, low, and you just tell them what you think needs to be done. And then I go through the numbers. It's based on the comps, blah, 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 blah. I think we will be here. We'll test the market, and you assert your expertise. If they throw out a dumb number, you have to kind of set them straight. I'm not seeing that in the data. And then the same thing we talked about, which is, but let's give it. The market will dictate. Right? We can run that number for 2 weeks. If that number doesn't work, I suggest we try this number, and after 2 weeks, but we can test the market and see if they can take that price, and we'll gather feedback. And I'll let you know, and I'll monitor on a weekly basis, and I'll let you know how things are going. For me, I'm pretty anal about processes, so I will talk about what our team does to get things up and running. Giving them a schedule and what I do every week, calling all the leads and keep hunting them down until they go cold. You'll get an update. That's my style, right? If you don't do that, don't say it. Right? But I let them know. I show examples of our work and all that. So you also want to bring in some data about what kind of, how your listings have done. Right? Here, based on my listings, these sell overall, I sell over list price. I sell average this amount of time. And just proving that if you sell in that neighborhood, even better. But whatever data you have that can support your case that you are a top agent, you should do that, right? Whether you always sell over list, you sell for short average days on market, or if you need to compare to other agents that you think they might be talking to, you can kind of stack it up a little bit on that. If your numbers can beat them, the data folks will love that. So try to bring that to the table as well. Okay, recap. Anybody have any new ahas you guys want to share with me as we've gone through this? You feel free to type in the chat too if you're shy. Thank you, Hilda. Like Michael Lewis is gone. Yeah, why pay for something when we don't need it? Definitely use that.
I think the mindset was a big deal.
Yeah, the mindset? What do you mean?
I think so. You change your mindset. I think I have to do that. I will do that. I did do that yesterday, and I can see more in the presentation how I can be myself and get everything in. I think the decision makers have to be there so I don't have to hear them 3 weeks later causing me more trouble. That was big.
Yeah. It sometimes,
oh God.
I rarely fire clients, very rarely. But as I'm doing this longer, I mean, life is too short to deal with certain clients, right?
Yeah. I almost gave up. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, it's not worth the stress. Right?
No.
And so sometimes, I mean, hey, sometimes if you're struggling, if you need the business, you suck it up. I mean, I worked with everybody when I was younger. I mean, I had no choice. But it's nice to get to a point where you say, you know what? I'm blessed and I don't need to work with this person. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to work with you because I could just see a freight train coming at me. I don't want it. But Sheila, to your point, right? I think a lot of agents, we have this thing about being pushy and salesy, and that's great. None of us want to be that way. I get it. But don't err on the other side where you're so timid that nobody knows you're a realtor. That's not good, right? There's definitely a balance, right? Find a balance. And you have to tell yourself, I am a great agent.
Yes.
I know that I am better than most agents around, and buyers or sellers I would be a light in their life if I were able to help them.
Correct.
There was a buyer that we had that was really weird. He was referred by one of our agents in our team, and she doesn't do much production. She just refers business, which is great. We'll take that anytime. And so the trust was there. We had really good rapport. We had a really good strategy meeting, and he won the first house that he offered on because he listened, and it was great. And then suddenly things kind of went sideways where he wanted to be CC'd with the listing agent on some rent back discussion. So our buyer's agent said, no, that's not normal. We don't do that. He goes, no, I want to cut down the communication, the time it's taken to get back. And so I dug into that on Monday because the other agent felt weird. He said, no, talk to your customer directly. That's strange.
Right.
And so I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, you know, there's not protocol to do that, right? I mean, his job is to represent the seller. Our job is to represent you. And so he responded, he goes, yeah, you know, sorry, I just wanted to cut down the communication. I responded, I said, yeah, you know, the agent didn't work all weekend. I don't know how an agent doesn't work on a weekend, but he didn't work all
I
weekend.
had that in San Diego. She had every other weekend off, and she had no communication, and she owned a high-rise. It was horrible. And I told him, I said, this is not an agent. This is a order taker. Because she was so wealthy, and
Yeah.
it was just,
Yeah, but then he thought, I mean, again, there's a trust factor. So the next message he said, you know, I really apologize. He said, I have such a negative view of what I've heard of agents and experiences with agents that I had a trust issue, and that's on me. And I said, yeah, it wasn't us that he was slow, right? So he goes, I apologize for that. But I know what you mean, Sheila, that there was this perception, and I replied and I said, hey, you know, so-and-so referred you to us for a reason. We look for clients for life, but we want you to call us anytime. You know, we have clients calling us, 17-year clients calling us for questions, and we answer the questions. I mean, we are about a long-term relationship. We are here to take care of you, and that's who we are. And you know, be blessed that you didn't get one of those agents, right? I mean, that's kind of the way that I view it. So, do we feel differently about anything today after everything that I've gone through today?
very different. Very different.
Anybody else? Everyone's so quiet. I wonder if everyone's snoozing.
They're going to be talkers when they get out, maybe.
Sure. All right.
What's
One
this?
time, I'm sorry.
Great listen. Thank you so much, Alan. It's great.
Thanks, Mo.
Rick, you
oh,
had a quick question?
Yeah, before I go into the next habit section, I want to do Q&A. So you guys can ask me anything right now and go.
Alan, Rick here. Quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric.
You said you you get a lot of your business from referral, sphere of influence. I pretty much have an idea. Obviously, I cultivate my relationships over the years, but I'm curious as to what you do in terms of keep track with happy birthdays, phone calls, you know, item of value like Brian Buffini. You know, maybe perhaps you could share some of that.
Yeah, great question. So I'm a big social media guy. So every day my lead gen is on LinkedIn, Facebook, and a little bit of Instagram. I mean, there's only so many channels you can hit all day long. And I touch people every way I possibly can. If it's LinkedIn, then it's a job promotion or a job change or an anniversary, direct message. I try to engage with a direct message. And that's what I try to do. The birthdays and the job changes are an excuse to talk to them is what it is. So every day I'll hit my feed and I'll see who's got one, and I'll hit the happy birthdays. I'll also hit the job promotions. I'll also look on my feed, see who's active, what are they sharing, try to be a part of that, commenting. Liking is not enough. Commenting is more powerful. So I do make comments. And I'm not doing it just to do it, by the way. I mean, I'm trying to be engaging in their life, things that are interesting on it. And so people appreciate that. In this day and age, especially with COVID, we can't even see people. Social media is the only way to reach them, right? And you guys know Hilda's really good at this, right? I mean, Hilda's, you know, she's really authentic. She cares. She's always, you know, involved in our lives. So if you can mirror what Hilda does with your client, Rick, on LinkedIn, Facebook, that would be great. And Instagram, whatever platform your network is on, you can do that. And then what I do is on LinkedIn, I can talk about my business. So that's not a problem. So I'm pretty verbose on LinkedIn. On Facebook, I try to sprinkle real estate in there. I find it annoying when people talk too much about real estate. I've noticed there's an agent friend of mine, like every post is just listed, just pending, sold. It's basically the picture of her postcard, right? Her circle farming postcard. And I'm like, this is super boring, right? And that's all she's got. And she's one of those super private people that don't like to share anything or like or comment on anyone's stuff, but it's just like a business page for her, right? Super boring. I find it annoying. So I try not to annoy my network. At least it depends on where you're at. If you like Sheila, if you've been kind of silent and kind of secret agent for a little while, you might want to talk a little bit more about real estate than you usually do, right? Maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a day, just kind of, you know, post a story about you showing homes or doing something, and then maybe 2 stories and in a newsfeed post or something. Or I don't know, if you want to hit it hard, you can hit it every day. I mean, like, whatever.
I have a question. Is your Facebook page family, friends, and then another one for vendors and everything else? Do you have 2 different Facebook pages?
I can't keep track of that many things. So I have one Facebook page that's friends, coworkers, and there's a few realtors. If I know you as a realtor, I might add you as a friend, but I'm not going to add every realtor in the world because I can't manage liking and talking to every single realtor that wants to, you know, I don't want to spend my time just liking other realtor stuff, right? I need to spend my time liking my client stuff. And if I fill it with realtors, then my feed is going to be a mess, and I can't do that. So I'm pretty selective. If I know you, then great. I'll add you. If you're in my office, obviously I'll add you. But there's so many realtors from other places, I don't really want them all in my feed, right?
Right.
So I'm pretty careful about that. And I'm sorry if one of you guys are stuck in my queue. I do need to take a look at it and see if, you know, if it makes sense or not. But everyone can connect with me on LinkedIn. I have no problem with that. But on Facebook, I'm finding myself right now even just a little over busy with the realtors, which is great. I mean, obviously I'll run the office, it's fine. But, you know, I'm worried that I'm missing out on my network, right? So it's for me, I have 2 lives, a little bit hard to balance. No, I don't have 2 Facebooks. It's too much work. I can't manage another social media network, right? We got to get work done. So I would say, and I know Brian Kenny, for example, on this call, they've been doing more, and I think people are noticing, right? So it's so easy and it's free, right? So I do it where I post stories, or I'll if it's something really engaging, I'll post it. You guys probably saw some of the nightmares I've been having on this listing of mine in Los Altos. That's been getting a lot of engagement from all the people. So I like to post things that are interesting, right? It tells them I'm in real estate, but it doesn't really tell them I'm in real estate. I'm not saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm a realtor. You gotta use me, send me business." No, I'm doing business. I'm running into challenges. Let me share those with you. So and again, it's inception, right? They plan ahead. Oh yeah, Alan's a realtor. Alan's a realtor. Alan's a realtor. Alan's a realtor. Oh, I ran into my sister who wants to buy real estate. Oh yeah, gosh, Alan. Yeah, I saw that. They won't even know why they remember you're a realtor, right? They just remember you posted something and they liked it, commented on it, and they just remember you're a realtor. But they don't even remember that it was because of a certain post.
I see.
That you're a realtor. Yeah, it's all really subliminal. You won't believe it, but it's marketing, right? You don't. You know how you Google something and then suddenly it shows up everywhere, which is a little scary, all the cookies that they do. Right? Suddenly you're reading Market News, you see that product. You go to Google, you see that product, and then suddenly you're just seeing it everywhere. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to be in a person's mind when that real estate word comes up, they call you, Rick. So that's what social media is huge. I think it's a really, really important channel. As far as other situations, Rick, I obviously my KW command, I'm still trying to get this running. It's a project for my team. Is everyone in my database that has an address needs to be on a smart plan. Actually, maybe I'll show you that to you guys really quick while we are here, because we're supposed to hit a little bit more command here. Actually, let me show you a little bit. Actually, you know what? I didn't show enough command. I'm sorry. Let me show a little bit more command. Rick, let me answer your question, and I want to jump into listing flow. I forgot to cover that. I apologize. And sorry, I have another screen on my left here, so you know what? Why don't I share this screen? I have 3 monitors, so.
Oh my.
I got to be super productive. Selling, it makes me very productive.
You're giving more than what I asked for, but this is excellent. And you gave us a bonus. You watch us negotiate, have us watch you negotiate with the other agent about the multiple offers. So that's a good bonus.
You know what's funny, Rick? When I negotiated that 1.66 offer, I was at home, and then I was waiting and waiting and waiting for that thing to come in. And then I was nervous. I mean, I'm not telling anybody, but I was nervous. I said, where is this thing, right? And I was out in my kitchen where the island is, and my kids were there. And then I said, guys, hush. I feel bad for my kids because they always have to hush because I'm always on the phone. And then the lady goes, yeah, we're going to come in 166. I go, okay. She goes, how's that look? How's that play? I mean, does that play? I go, well, you know, the other one's really strong too. So I'm going to have to run this by the seller. I'm going to have to let him know. But thank you. I'll take a look and I'll get back to you. I hung up the phone. I'm like, yeah!
I have a question about talking about price. I understood that when we are negotiating with couples, more than one or two, we can't really tell the listing agent what's your best or how we can negotiate with you. Let's say I'm representing the buyer. That happened, and I wanted this deal, and I know I had to get it, and I was telling the listing agent, what is it going to take to get? I know it's going to get over. How much over, you know? And he said, I can't tell you. And I'm giving him numbers, and he's saying higher, you know. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to go too much higher, but he was saying it will satisfy them. I said, okay, if you do this, I want the offer responded to tonight, and I want it in contract before 11 o'clock. Because you're telling me this is going to happen, because these are nervous buyers after 5 years, whatever. And so I was thinking, was I in violation, or was he in violation by saying higher, or doing something? Or as a listing agent, are we supposed to say, look, this is the price that we're listing it at. Bring your best offer. I can't tell you what to offer. Which is the legal responsibility that doesn't get us in trouble?
So Sheila, you don't know what the cards are on the other side. So there are a couple of things, right? Either he loves you to death and he really wants you to win, which, okay, yeah, maybe. But it's more likely that you have something in your offer that he really likes that he doesn't have in the other offers. That's what it is. So
he didn't have another offer. I wanted him to take an offer before it even went out to the.
Oh, okay. So he didn't want to tell you what the seller would take, but then he kind of kept pushing you up, right?
Yeah, and I said, I'll go up if you tell me that we're going to get it signed and delivered. These people will have a heart attack if we don't. They have to go to sleep knowing something. I can't keep them in suspense. And then the next day, another agent came in and said, how'd you do that? We were supposed to get a listing, and we were supposed to get this buyer, and my son wants this house. I said, well, snooze, you lose. And I didn't say that, but you know, I pushed that listing agent to take this offer without getting alternate offers. So in that sense, I did a really good job as a buyer.
No, you did. And I think I guess you did a good job because you were inching until you got to the price that you knew that they wanted.
I said, yeah.
Honestly, that's a little weird for me on the listing side. I would have just told you what we needed after I saw your first offer, right? Your first offer came in. I knew it wouldn't work. I'd probably just call you, hey, if you want to go preempt, my seller needs at least this, just to save the pain of this.
But it's not illegal by saying those things, because we get a listing and we get a contract. We can say what we want, and we're not violating the listing agreement in any way.
Well, as long as you're not lying, right? If your seller, I would check with the seller. Hey, I mean, don't throw out numbers for the seller, right? If the seller really wants 290, you didn't ask him, and then I told you the seller wants 27, then that's wrong, right? It's not our decision, right? It's the seller's decision. So you should sync up with your seller first. Hey, I've got this agent. She's really hot. I mean, she's hot and heavy. She put out this number. What number do you want me to put out to her? In order for us to take a preemptive offer, what number is that? Right? Figure that out first. And the seller goes, all right, she's at 2.5. It'd have to be 2.7. Otherwise, I'm waiting until next week. Right? Then it's not your decision as the listing agent. You need to take that and then give it to you. Maybe he just didn't know. Right? Or maybe the seller didn't know. So you just kept inching until you got there. As Mark nodded, there's nothing wrong with that, but you definitely need to get the approval of your seller before you start throwing out numbers.
It's not a matter of legality or illegal or legal. It's just best practice, right? If the ultimate goal is to get the most for the seller, then the theory is that by keeping quiet, you don't influence the buyer. The buyer may offer more than, right? So that's the whole thing about keeping quiet. But it's not illegal to discuss what the terms of the offers are. And some sellers might think it beneficial to try to drive it up with an open auction. It's been debated back and forth through history. I think the results, though, show that keeping quiet is the best policy, because you really don't know what the other side is thinking until you see their offer.
Yep.
And yeah, the offer comes in, then you look at it and you see, oh yeah, these guys can play. Maybe we can squeeze a little more cash out of them. Then you can start talking about money. but it's best to see their offer first. That way, you know what they're thinking, you know what their clients are capable of, right? You see their financial position, you see the capabilities, you know the market, then you can start negotiating with more details.
Exactly. You want them to anchor first. And then you can see, just like Mark said, right? There's so many other factors. Remember, there is price, yes, but what about their down payment? What about their loan program? Are they contingent, non-contingent, right? These are important things. I mean, yeah, you can offer me $3 million. I want a 2.8, but if you're a 10% down client, you know it's not going to appraise, then this is not a real offer. Right? So you have to, so no, I don't think there's anything wrong.
The advantage is I knew the loan. I knew it was an approved product. I came in with all guns loaded to close, 21 days, period. So, you know, they had to make a decision.
All right.
And I was pushing them to make that decision. I don't know how legal it was for me to keep asking about pricing. I mean, I don't know how much higher. I did get, again, about 30,000 over list, which was because he had it too low, and I knew it was too low, and I told the buyers. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, it's not illegal to talk about numbers beyond the listing price. You're saying that, Mark.
So Sheila, there are some agents that will tell you everything.
Really?
So if they want to tell you everything, that's on them. I would be careful. I would be careful. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? So there are some agents, you ask them, and they go, my sellers need blah. Now you know. There's some agents that will play it close to the chest because they're not sure what you're going to do, so they're not going to tell you, right? And there's some that don't tell you anything, right? So you just have to figure out, you know, who you're dealing with. And if you got that one that talks too much, get as much information as you can out of them, right? But if you have that one that's playing close to the chest, then you're going to have to anchor first. Okay, I'm going to answer Rick's question. Sorry, I'm going to switch gears here. So when you have a contact in your database, KW Command did this really cool thing. They have an exclusive partnership with Nextdoor. You know how MLS has a really crappy, you know, if you do a search, it's Mountain View. I mean, Mountain View is a really big city, right? The MLS areas are not really good. They're not broken down very well. Okay, they might say Miramonte or something like that. But we've all learned that most people do not consider the MLS areas, the definition that they define as their neighborhood. But what Gary Keller discovered is that next door, this is where neighbors self-identify to where their neighborhood is. So for me, I live in Varsity Park, Mountain View, and I'm part of that community on next door as well. And so you can search a neighborhood and you can, you know, look for that. So in my case, you know, there's other things. You can type Mountain View. Let's see what comes up, right? Mountain View, California. You got Old Mountain View, right near downtown. Let's see, there's another neighborhood. They call it Rancho. Let's see if I can find it in Los Altos. I did not test this, so Los Altos, well, Los Altos Square. So, I mean, Rancho's not here, but there's different neighborhoods that you select, and it'll show you where it is on the map, and then you can select it. So I selected Varsity Park. So what my team is doing right now is any customer that has an address, they need to manually go in and find the next door neighborhood, and you can actually break this up, and you can actually type your address. So let's say, let's do the office, for example. And there might not be a lot of neighborhoods here because this is a corporation, right? But no, there is. So I could select Oakmead, and this is the neighborhood. So basically, when I do that, I'm now mapped to Oakmead, and this is really important. So once you've got that in here, I'm going to take it out because that's not what I want to see, by the way. You can create a smart plan, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Make sure your address is here as well, and make sure you fill out as much information as you can. Save the contact, and then you're going to go to Smart Plans. I think the easiest thing to do, what's the thing is up here? Where is it?
Alan, if I can add one thing real quick before you move on.
Yeah.
Just a quick perspective, guys. Our inventory right now is super, super low, right? So new listings are kind of hard to come by. And those next door neighborhoods, although greatly accurate and great for neighborhood dialogues, they're very, very small. So the likelihood of listings popping on a regular basis is going to be somewhat low. You may want to consider, as long as the schools are the same, this takes you a little bit of personal knowledge, right? Consider selecting several adjoining areas to make that area a little bigger right now, just so that there are listings coming across the people's radar. Remember, half the point of this is to get your face and name in front of them. And when new listings pop up, that's what triggers that notification. So if your area is too small, you might not get as much hits as you should.
So Mark is right. So for example, again, my name is just for play anyways on this thing, but you can select, but this entire pocket for me is valid because it goes to the same school district. So I'm going to save that. And then there might be a better CMA coming, right? So, okay. So once you do that, it's saved and you go to smart plans right here on the left. And we have this thing, and we're still working on it as well, called the My Monthly Neighborhood Smart Plan, right? So you can add a contact to it. And eventually our goal is we're going to add neighborhoods for everybody. And then we'll have to add everybody in here, right? So Alan's got 14 neighborhoods. You add Alan in, add him to the smart plan. So now every month, I'm going to start this thing now. I'm going to get from Alan, I'm going to get, well, from my realtor, a monthly CMA basically of all the homes in my area, whatever the activity is. So again, this is another touch, right? And so you need to touch them that way. There's another one that's pretty cool that we're also working on. Any customer with an address, we're going to go to Realist and pull the anniversary date of their house. And then we're going to toss it in there. As long as it's populated, you can add them to Smart Plan, and they'll get a happy anniversary notice on their anniversary. I mean, how many people even know your anniversary for your house? Right? Not too many. You can make this CMA go twice a week if you want, but I find monthly is probably enough. So again, the Smart Plans are pretty cool. I also want to jump in and talk about opportunities. This is bread and butter. I love opportunities. So KW has broken down listings to stages. Now remember, success leaves clues, right? There's no secret to this business. Every listing that I get goes through these same stages. Everything's happened, Rick, to what you said. I've either cultivated a relationship on social media, I've either added them to my database where I keep in touch with them, either through smart plans or newsletters or different ways. And I send them my just listed, I'm touching them all the time, right? And then we're talking on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we're keeping in touch, right? And so that they call me when they need something. But when I get a listing, it goes into these stages. You first cultivate the relationship, then it goes, you gotta get an appointment.
I do agree.
And then you need to get, it becomes active, under contract and close. Can somebody mute whoever's talking? So as you see, we have people. So I customize these for myself. You can customize these particular stages however you like. But I have a watch list. These are people that I'm working on. These are people that I'm nurturing. And these are people that I need to reach out every week. So I call it monthly. Remember we kind of talked about, this is exactly what I do. If they're not quite ready, I reach out once a month. If they're hot and heavy, I reach out every week, at least for this guy. But usually I'm trying to get an appointment. So once you go here, you drag the car, you can move these around. So this one, I'm scheduling a meeting. Haven't met with them yet. It's scheduled. This guy, for example, decided to rent his house out. So that, unfortunately, I've been working on him, and I take notes. And every week, I block time to ping these folks. What's your schedule like? I check back. When's the tenant leaving? I ping the investor, right? And then the latest is that renewed lease for another year. Check back in, I'm probably just check back in January. I don't like to have it go too long. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna move this guy to cultivate again. And, whoops, did he make it? Okay. And so he's back here. He's not hot anymore, so I'm gonna move him over here because that's gonna be a while before he does anything, right?
I have a question. You have emails or you mail? How do you get to these people?
These people usually came to me through a referral, or they called, text, or emailed me, and I immediately captured their contact. So let's, does everybody know how to add a contact? I don't know if I want to do that as a test. Do you guys need me to do that, or?
Oh, you have to do a lot more for me.
Okay, let's just do that. So let's say I get a new lead. I'm just going to we're going to call it John Doe, right? John Doe comes in, John. I'm sorry? John@doe.com. You get whatever you can get, right? Information-wise, often you don't have a phone number just yet, but you're gonna do that. You can add them as a lead. If you have a team, you can route them, and you add to sales pipeline. I usually type some tags, seller, whoops, I'm there, seller, I'm there. Create a custom tag, add. Seller, I don't know, maybe they're an A+ client, right? Whatever, the cash investor, whatever you want to label them. That way you can search for them better. And I'm going to create John Doe. So the first thing you do when you get a lead, you got to create a contact first. Otherwise, it won't work. Then you go and you create an opportunity. And actually, I don't know. I may have dumped it in here. Let me just check. Because I checked that box. John Doe getting here? I don't know if John Doe got in here. I don't even know if that feature works. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to create the opportunity for John Doe, right? This is the market standard name, blah, blah, blah. Client. John Doe. Oh, I have 2 John Does. All right. This is where I add a little bit more information. Seller, referred by Jason, KW, PA. I just want to make a note so I remember to get this person back, right? To get their business. Estimated close date. I mean, I don't know if I know that right now, so I'm probably not going to do that. I ran a quick CMA. The house is worth 1.5. Commission rate, I mean, probably 2.5 these days. I'll move them into cultivate state. And what stage do I want them in? Watch, nurture. It's pretty hot, right? Because I just talked to them. And then am I going to assign it to one of my team members or assign it to me? Well, this one's me. So click create. So once that's created, I want to edit some, the first thing you want to do is edit property information. And the reason for that is if you don't, you won't see an address. So you really just need the address. That's really important. 1110 Main Street, Santa Clara. Sounds good. And I'm going to click save. Some of these other things would be nice to have is if you did get an appointment, this is a feature I discovered that, you know how if you go to the main page, it says how many appointments have you made, and that doesn't show up. It's because you didn't tell it, the system, when you scheduled the appointment for. So if you schedule the appointment, you need to tell the system when that is. Otherwise, the reporting won't help you. So let's say you reported here, appointment date, 13th, and then did you win it or not, right? So you need to give the system a metric. So let's say you did win it, you won it on the 14th, and then you signed a contract on the 15th. So this is all good stuff, right? Actually, contract, agreement 1, sorry, this is a contract that's impending, so I might want to get rid of that if I can. Don't know if I can actually. Get rid of that, darn it. Okay, well, I should have clicked that field. And then you got the estimated list price commission rate. So now you save this, and then you'll go back to your pipeline here, and you'll see John Doe is here, right? So your goal right now is to get John Doe to meet with you. So for me, I have another field that's called getting an appointment, right? So I'm going to move this to appointment. So my job is to get John Doe to meet with me. That's what I want to do. And remember I talked about the address. Because you fill the address, you see the address. Sometimes my assistant forgets to put the address, so it doesn't show up, and I don't like that. In my listings, I want to see the address. So from here, I'm reaching them every week, and I'm going to make a note. Sent, email, text, and call. I actually really just wish there's just one field, but so I just put that in here. And every week, I need to make progress. I need to get this client to get me a meeting. That's what I need to do. So basically, I might ping him every week and every day because it's a hot listing, I feel like. I'm pinging him every day until I get him over here, okay? So once I had the meeting, then I edited all the fields. Ideally, you do this. I mean, I don't always do this, but you should if you want the good reporting. You edit all these fields, and then you get the appointment. And then if you win the agreement, then you say you won the agreement. For me, a signed listing agreement becomes in this field here. It becomes a coming soon. This is my stages, right? You got to find your workflow that works for you. And from here, this is when my assistant's prepping things, right? They're going through the checklist, they're getting things done, getting the stager, blah, 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 okay? And then once this goes, then you move to the active stage. Well, sorry, I have a field called home preparation for market. So this is if we have work to do, if we're doing upgrades or managing a contractor, all that stuff, gardening, they end up in this stage. Then they go on market, or off. I mean, it might be an off market, right? So I have off market and on market. Mark and I did an off market. We tried to get a deal done, right? So certain houses cannot see the light of day. So a house that's a disaster, you go only off market. I put it here, and then if it goes on market, then it's on market. I don't know why KW keeps throwing this legacy field in here. Brian, maybe you have an answer, or Omaha. I have no, or Srini, I have no idea. I hate it. I keep deleting it and it keeps coming back. So I don't know why. Then I'll move this into under contract. So again, remember, success leaves clues, right? And every house we sell goes through the exact same process. And that's what I gotta tell you on that. And whoops, I just detected that this one actually, this is the one I told you I went into pending. So I'm gonna move it over here. And I'll deal with that when I get over there. So this one here, all contingencies are removed already. So this is clear to close. This one here, all contingencies are released. So this is also clear to close. This one, the appraiser is still active, so I'm leaving it here. I have a duplicate here. Let me just archive. Looks like we have a dupe. So let me just archive it. It's not really a lost opportunity. It's fine. We'll just that's okay. We'll call it a lost opportunity then. And then here's John Doe, right? So once you go into contract, you have to manage. Okay, is there appraisal, finance, property contingency, right? So for this one, this is released, but appraisals are still due, so I'm leaving it here. But let's say John Doe clears, I'm going to move John Doe here. Okay. So looking at our pipeline, just realized this one just closed last week, so we're a little bit behind. So I'm going to move this to close status. That's good. This one, she called me yesterday. I think everything's smooth, so clear to close. This one's also clear to close. This one's clear to close. This one is obviously a fake, so I'm going to move that to, what I'm going to do actually, instead of messing up my metrics, I'm going to move this back to cultivate. And I think if I move it to cultivate, I can archive it. There we go. That way it doesn't penalize me. Archive that one. Once you move it to closed, it'll automatically go away after the month is over. So we had these three that are moving to closed. Okay. And I just noticed this, which kind of bugs me, so I'm just going to do it now. It's just, yeah, our team needs to get better at getting addresses filled out. But again, success leaves clues. So moving through the process, this is what we do for every single house. If you have rent back, toss it in here and get the rent back. Questions?
Do you use checklists in those opportunities to help keep you organized? And do you enter your disclosures and all other documents to close out the transaction instead of using SkySlope?
Not just yet, Brian. We need to look into that. I think my assistant, before she left, was looking into the checklist and possibly porting it over. But we haven't got that far yet. We're still using a very simple NoteJoy checklist right now. That's something for us to look into. And also disclosures, we're still using this old system. Brian, have you guys had success with integration there yet?
We just did it once. So just this one transaction.
How was it?
It went pretty well. Pretty simple. We entered all our documents in to the checklist it was for a buyer. So for a buyer's checklist, all the documents we need to provide, and Mark on the other end reviewed the documents and was able to communicate to us anything we were missing or
Got it.
Yeah. So it worked pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, there's a few more friction points. I have to get an outside TC to get on board, and then I get my assistants to get trained. So it's a little bit more painful on that. So I'm trying to get on that, but good. I think there's so many more things to do with Command. Even I'm barely scratching the surface on it as well. Okay. Any questions on Command before I hit the last part of the presentation?
Not a question, Alan, just an observation.
Yeah.
Just some things I know you guys might be not sold on using Command yet or using other systems, guys. There was a cool page that kind of gauged the value of Alan's business. It kind of showed the projections and what's possible from his business. So if you guys are ever wondering, hey, what's the value of my business, or you get kind of sick and tired of the grind and say, maybe I want to sell my business and do something else. Well, if you're using Command religiously and you really have your database dialed in, it's very easy to determine the value and what kind of value you should get for your database when it's time to move on. If you don't have this, Excel spreadsheets will not calculate this for you. And good luck getting someone to trust those. But when you have a system like Command and you're ready to move to something else, you go to your team leader and say, hey, this is what my potential is. How can we extract this potential from my business? And we'll have solutions and you can sell your business.
Yeah.
Only if you have it in Command. If you have it and it's documented and it's properly presented. It's one of the greatest reasons to start using this program.
Exactly. And that's where, I mean, this is pretty accurate to what we projected for this year. And by the time next year you guys start this up again, remember there's that business planning clinic? I love that class because that's where I do all my planning for the year. And then I input it into Command now. And then everything I'm doing ties back to it, right? So that really helps me to see if I'm on track or off track, et cetera. But yeah, definitely right here. I mean, this is definitely in line with kind of the goals that I was hoping to achieve for the team. Actually hoping for more, but it's been a strange year with one quarter. but you have to enter the data, right? Remember when I entered the 2.5% probable income, you have to give, it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't give Command the data, it won't be able to give you any value. So you have to tell it the expected commission you're going to get, and it'll project. So it's kind of nice. Looks like they're pretty confident that, we'll do 700K this year. That's great. But potentially we have 1.23 if we can get some of these folks over here buying, right? Which tells me I need to push more of these people over to the other stages to get going. So that's the challenge there. But everything's possible, that's for sure. Okay, I want to pop back to the PowerPoint. Stop the screen share. Good observation, Mark. Thank you. All right. So daily success, and Sheila covered this as well. The 10-4. I think it's kind of like, so I'm a cyclist. So I cycle, and when I started cycling, I was awful. I mean, I could barely do 5 miles without dying on my really awful bike, right? And then, I would go out every weekend, then suddenly I was able to do 11, then 6 miles, 7 miles, 8 miles. Then as I really realized I really like this, I bought a new bike that was a tool, right? Some kind of tool to help me. It was lighter, it was faster, so I got even better. So I started doing 10 miles and then 15 miles. And then I started doing mountains and then bigger mountains. And so now these days on average, I ride about 40 miles and I do about 3,000 elevation on any given Saturday. Sometimes on Wednesday. Today it was short, 15 miles, 1,000 elevation, because I had to get to class. But my point is, if you just set a big goal, if I came to biking and I said, you know what, I'm going to ride 40 miles, 3,000 elevation right now, I'm going to be pretty depressed by probably the third or fourth week because I'm not making a dent on my goals, right? It's too hard to do that right away. I mean, it took me 2 years, right, to get kind of to a decent level. And I'm still not even that good, right? So it's the same with this. If you say, oh, I'm going to add 1,000 contacts to my database, you're never going to achieve it. Well, maybe you will. Maybe you're more motivated than I am. But more importantly, if you set goals as like this, where I'm going to do 10 a day, I'm going to add 10 people to my database a day. I'm going to have 10 conversations, and I will allow you to have text, Instagram messaging, Facebook messaging, LinkedIn messaging as a conversation. I will allow that, okay? Because those are conversations. I understand that a lot of people here don't want to talk on the phone, but as long as you're having a dialogue and somebody's talking back to you, I say that's a conversation, right? Have 10 of those conversations. Is it really that hard to get 10 of your Facebook friends to talk to you? I don't really think so, right? And a direct message, right? And see how the kids are doing, how you're holding up during COVID. I'm telling you, people are craving for social interaction right now. Craving. Handwritten notes. This sounds a little cheesy, but this does work. Nobody does this anymore. So if you want to write 10 handwritten notes, just say, hey, how are you doing during quarantine? Hope you're doing all right, thinking of you. And just don't, dump your card in there. Just if you ever need anything on a real estate front, I'm here, right? If any of your friends, I don't know if you want to throw it in there the first time, but just touch them. Right now, maybe don't even worry about the real estate for the handwritten notes. Or don't worry about real estate at all. Just touch them, right? Have a conversation. get to know them, then get to know them again. And the home previews, this is a little bit hard right now, given COVID, not really previewing homes, but it's definitely good to know the inventory. I was showing homes in Fremont, and that allowed me to preview homes. And then I had another client looking in Fremont, so I was able to give those homes to him or have really deep insights. Oh, that house is actually on a street that didn't look like the neighbor took care of the houses, blah, blah, blah. The more houses you see, the more you're out there, the smarter you sound you even better, you send that house to your other clients who like that in that particular area, right? But you want to be able to talk, you want to be an expert, right? Again, 10, 10, 10, 10. I mean, how long would this really take? I mean, the house is okay, maybe a little longer. But these three, an hour, 2 hours tops, right? Block your calendar every day to do this? That hard? I don't think so. It's a lot easier than riding a bike up a big old mountain, let me tell you that. So I would tell you, do this. I mean, I rode a miserable mountain today and it was painful. So this is, to me, much easier. Block your calendar every day to lead gen and just do these things right here. And look at 10 homes online. How about that? I challenge you to look at 10 homes, look at the virtual tours and do a Google map. Look at Google Earth. 2 hours. You do this every day, guarantee you are going to have business. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. This Keller Ones has proved this. There's a formula. Not rocket science. Just gotta do it. Just gotta do it. Obviously, there's scripts to lead gen, uncover motivations. I'm not gonna cover those here today. There's 30 minutes time. Look in your Ignite material, check with Jacqueline or Olivia if you wanna see what those are. I'm not a big scripts guy generally, but I guess in my life, I've actually developed my own scripts. So that's what I've learned. And so I think if you haven't developed your own dialogue and how to respond in different scenarios, I think I do have scripts. I've created them myself. So I think I am a script guy end of the day, but I just have my own script. So for those of you that either are having trouble or don't know or how to respond to a certain situation, that's what scripts are for. But make them your own. Nobody's telling you to read it off like a robot, right? We're just saying this is what the common objections are, and you don't have to say it exactly the way KW is telling you to say it, but come up with your own way of dealing with these objections. And that would be, and I'll have you practice that in your own time. So I do want to leave a little time for Q&A. One warning, if you're a cold caller or you're calling expired listings, double check that they are not on the do not call list, because you could get in trouble and get fined for this, okay? So be very, very careful. I want to see everybody in Ignite doing their 10-4s, okay? So every day, get on those 2 hours and get your contacts updated. 30 minutes may not be enough, so block your calendar. At least do a few. I know you're in Ignite, so maybe block 30 minutes to do 5. Let's cut it in half or whatever you can manage. Okay.
Alan, I think what we're going to do moving forward, and it's not going to happen today because of our team meeting, but after our Ignite session, for agents that really want the support of group lead gen, we're going to have a sign-up sheet come out, and we'll have a separate session so that those agents that are coming for the educational part of Ignite get what they're looking for, but they're not necessarily looking for the rah-rah butt kicking to get those calls made.
Yeah.
You can go on with your day. But those of us that want to go ahead and participate in a group lead gen situation, I'll be happy to lead those. We're going to start that after the Ignite sessions tomorrow. But please be sure to sign up. The email will be going out from from our wonderful agent service coordinators.
Excellent, excellent. Definitely leverage Mark. If those of you are struggling, getting going, and having again, we all need a kick in the rear sometimes, right? I mean, even myself. I mean, when my wife first met me, I wasn't the guy I am now. I needed a good swift kick in the rear to get moving. Once I get moving, then you can't stop me, right? But sometimes getting going is hard. And leveraging Mark and his productivity coaching, or even in a group setting or one-on-one, it really gets you going. And I think it's worth every penny that you're going to share, which really honestly isn't that bad. I think it's, if you're having trouble finding the motivation or you need the accountability, I've heard really good things, Mark, of you really giving people good swift kicks in the rear and they're having a real honest conversation. It's like, why are you doing that? Why aren't you doing this? I mean, it's all for your good. So definitely leverage that.
This isn't about that though either, though, Alan. I mean, this is just for everyone who wants that help for the hour that's part of Ignite.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
you don't have to be a part of my coaching or anything like that to get to do this group lead gen. If you're, and it's not going
Sounds good. Sorry, Mark. I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't know that. This is
And the
specific Ignite.
1 hour sales pitch either. What we're going to do is we're going to get together, Bahas of the Ignite, and then we'll give you some tools that you can use in your conversation, some things to talk about, some ideas, and then you go ahead and do it, and then we get back, and then we share our results, and we try to book those appointments and see who can get the most.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to stop here. I mean, I know you guys are probably doing this, creating your success list, etc. I really want to open up for questions if you guys have any for me. I'm sure there's some great questions out there. So I'm going to stop the presentation at this point and just let me turn off my share. All right, questions from the audience. I think this is always the fun part.
Alan, what's your best source of new contacts?
My best source of new contacts? Referrals. I mean, that's what's been going on right now. I've grown my database to a size that's pretty big already. And so referrals are definitely the key to growing that database. Open houses, of course, too. You might be able to meet some clients from open houses. So my team does the open houses these days. Before COVID, I tried to join new groups, actually. So I try to be a part of a couple of universities, alumni groups. I try to go to their events. I try to network and socialize and be a part of that. So I'm always constantly trying to find new avenues to meet people. So that's definitely where I'm going. But the referrals are where it's incrementally adding right now to my database.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, Rick here again.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah. You mentioned social media marketing, and I said Twitter. I'm sorry, LinkedIn, and a couple other ones. Because I know you strike me as a very good networker. But my question is, what is your marketing budget? If you mentioned 30% goes to your tax, and of course your team leader of how many people in your team. So, do you have tracking percentage-wise? If you want to share that.
Yeah. My budget for marketing is it's kind of fluid. It's probably about 35 to 50K. It kind of varies. And actually, I don't spend a lot of money on marketing, believe it or not. And that cost is really just encompassing. There's a couple of farms that we're hitting with postcards, which honestly hasn't been that successful. It takes time. I know it takes 5 years or so to get that going. But it hasn't been a great source of revenue. Where I'm really spending my money is having an assistant just basically cranking out social media for the Facebook business page. And then we have an Instagram business page as well. And so they're always constantly and LinkedIn they'll do as well. So they're always kind of creating new content with, our just listed. We try, although it's been really busy, to have like a weekly or at least bi-weekly kind of win. Summarizes all of our wins. And then there's kind of other things like classes and things like that. So it's more of a social media customization of different messages around that. We do some circle farming, which is kind of a variable cost, right? Every listing we get, we'll do some circle farming around it. Not hugely effective right now either. Once in a while you get a call from a neighbor, but that's been going on as well. But social media, it's not very expensive. A lot of it's just my own time, just hitting Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, just touching people, and that's free, right? That's pretty cheap on that front. But yeah, we do. Those are the main things that we do, honestly, and it gives us really big bang for the buck. Honestly, you don't have to spend much at all if you're gonna just do this. It's just a matter of your time and designing the right. You don't even have to do fancy designs. If you have good content that reaches people and touches people that people like, I kind of keep social media at the top of my mind when I can. If I'm showing an amazing house with a beautiful view, or I'll share it. My shoes got dusty from new construction. I'll post a little story. Something weird happens at my listing. People always want to hear about that. We have the sold key that we take pictures of every time we're signing off. Obviously, right now with a 6 feet distance, we try to take that sold in front of the houses and just to let people know that we're busy. So when I was at another brokerage early in my career, one of the managers said, "If you're busy, you must be good." Right? So that is true, right? If you're not busy, then there's a problem. Right? Then if your client, your friends and family and colleagues aren't seeing you busy with real estate, at least a little bit, obviously they don't want to hear about everything, but if you're not busy, then something must be wrong. You must not be selling a lot of houses, right? And so I think that's the problem. And even if you're attending a class, that's good, right? You're learning, you're growing yourself. That's real estate related. Post it, right? If you can. If you don't have any other content, at least post that. Yeah, but if you're busy, you must be good. That always resonated with me. And also, I want to talk a little bit about social media, getting on my soapbox a little bit. You guys have probably all heard me say this before. There's some agents that are connected to me, and I'm looking at their social media, like, some of them are scantily clad, not dressing, wearing much clothing. That's not a good look. Some of them are often on vacation. Some of them are just not professional. And so the way I show up to social media is business casual, right? I'm not saying be completely in a suit and tie. That's kind of boring. I'm not saying show up in shorts and a tank top either, right? So, come show up business casual. Understand that people are judging you, right? There's one agent I'm connected to. This person's on vacation all day long. I mean, I love her trips. It's great. But I'm just scratching my head and going, if I'm a buyer or seller, I go, I love your trips, but if I want to sell a house, are you even going to be around? And that's the first perception I have. And so you got to manage that image. You got to be careful what you post. You don't let people tag you when you're drunk and laying on the ground, throwing up or something. That's not a good look for real estate. Don't let people, make sure you audit. There's a setting where you can approve every photo that you're tagged in. You might want to turn that on, right? I mean, it's just one of those things where it's very dangerous. It can backfire on you if you don't manage it properly. Sorry, long answer to your question again, Rick.
That was awesome. Hey, just real quick though, if I may make a comment to the people listening to the call here, addressing in particular the new agents. Two words that come to mind. I was looking at my clock here. You've been on for since 9 o'clock. So the two words that come to my mind is poured on. I came from a company 15 years where the top agents, guys like Tyler Dan, Kate Davey, you ask them, to share you some information, they'll walk right by you. And here, I've been with the company for 1 year. Listen to Alan Wang. Everything that he shared with you, this is basically the blueprint. If there's anything you need to watch and listen over and over again, obviously there's Mega Camp and other conferences, but it behooves you to watch this presentation over and over again. I would listen to it again, not because I was on 3 different phone calls as you were on, but you shared so much here. It just poured onto us, and I'm so thankful for you taking the time and sharing this with the rest of us. Alan.
You're welcome, Rick. And that's our culture, right? And this is the Keller Williams culture. And I can't take full credit. I mean, the success that we had is credit to Keller Williams. They had the team model built already, and I just followed it. I did make some mistakes along the way, but I mean, it's just top agents. This is what we do. We give back. We teach. There's a blueprint that was shared with us that we're sharing with you. And we want to see everybody successful and growing and selling houses and being very successful. And forget all the houses, right? I mean, we want you to have a wonderful life, a beautiful life, a fruitful life. And real estate is just a means for us to get there. And that's where we're at. And I'm shocked by hearing that, Rick. It's kind of sad that that's the case, right? I'm top, I don't need to share anything with you. I don't know. I've gotten into this business not because of that or the accolades or even the money. I want to see better agents in the industry, right? Just like we were talking about earlier, there's so many bad ones out there, and that gives us all a bad name. In a way, it's kind of nice because we can eat up the competition, but in a way, it's really bad because it really drags down our entire industry, right? And I don't like that. So, if I can help give you even just one nugget to make you a better agent, that will do great for our industry.
Well,
other questions?
Nugget here. This is excellent. I can't thank you enough, Alan. Great job.
You're welcome, Phil, everybody. More questions? Got me for a few more minutes. If not, I'll let you guys go earlier.
Oh, there's so much we can ask you.
Let me see if cost of advertising, Sheila, I think we talked about that. So, I mean, I try to keep my costs down, but yeah, I mean, if I don't pay for anything else, maybe $1,500, but if I'm lumping in inspections, that'll become $2,500. If I'm lumping in staging, it could easily be $5,000. So it depends on what you're doing.
You say you have support people, and you say that you pay them $10. Do you get $10 worth of value, or do you have to pay them more to get more? And if you're not having much for them to do, other than support what you need to do, what do they do?
I mean, that's a good question, and obviously lead with revenue, right? If you don't have the revenue, then it may not behoove you to hire an assistant. Okay. But if you're getting to that part in your business where I kind of see agents, once you're making about 150K, 200K, right? I mean, somewhere around there, you're starting to get really busy, right? Yeah. Really busy, right? You're starting to, oh gosh, like I can't do everything, right. And I really, really need support. And that's where it's a good time. And if you can consistently do that 1 or 2 years in a row, then it's probably time. And the assistant is the first hire you make, and it is the best hire you will ever make. That person should pay themselves, I mean, should at least 2x their worth, okay? At least double their worth, at least. And if you're talking about a virtual assistant, that shouldn't be hard at all, right? If you're paying them $1,500 a month, you should be able to generate $3,000 a month, right, from this person. But think about everything I just taught you, right? Not all of us want to go and get all of our contacts into command, right? That's painful. You might have it somewhere else. You might have it in 10 places. It might be in your email. It will take you forever to do it. Have this assistant do that. First project, get all my contacts, let's put it in a spreadsheet, and let's get it into command. That's your first project. Second project, look at all these people. How many of them are sellers? Get their address if you don't have them, and let's line that all up. And then let's get that into command. And then next step, well, while you're in there, you might as well get their anniversary date too, right? Then next step, create a smart plan so that I could get my first touch, my monthly touch, right? And then that'll be a monthly touch and an annual touch, right, for my contacts database. Get that done. And then from that point on, wait, what else do you have them do? I mean, if I'm going out and I'm showing houses, my client wants to see these 5 houses. Can you punch this into Google Maps and map it for me, and then create a schedule for me and book it with the create a PEAT form, get it all signed by everybody, and book a schedule with the listing agent and block my calendar and my client's calendar? Could you do that? Oh, absolutely, right? I have a listing. All these bloody PEAT forms are coming in and scheduling. This is really annoying. Assistant, can you do that for me? Absolutely, right? I mean, what is the goal of this assistant? I've told this story many times. I went to business planning clinic, and I was a solo agent at the time. I was doing 30 deals. April, I quit my job at LinkedIn, and by August, I was already on my 30th deal. I was dying. I did everything. I knew how to do everything. I was a solo agent. I did my own TC work. I did everything myself because I knew how to do it. But by 30 deals, I was about near death. I mean, it was just too much. And that's when our MCA said, why don't you go to business planning clinic? I went in. And I remember Bev Steiner got up and said, you know, write down your GCI, or write down my GCI, you know, and divide it by this number, which is like 5,000 some odd hours or whatever in a year. And then what's that number? At the time, it was like $150 an hour, right? And then she said, if you are worth that much, why are you doing $15 an hour work? And I tell you, my head was fuming, and I was just like, oh my gosh, light bulbs, light bulbs. And that's really what it is. It's worth your time to deal with PEAT forms. 2 weeks ago, I switched my phone number and MLS to my admin's Google Voice. I switched the email to a global kind of distribution list because I was sick and tired of dealing with PEAT forms. When you have 3 listings on the market and everyone's calling you and trying to schedule stuff, it's a waste of your time. I mean, I don't want to deal with that, right? So my assistants deal with it now. And I do have weekend assistants, by the way. So I have 2, right? One covers weekday, one covered night shift and weekends. Because it was just wasting my time. It just was not worth it. Where's my time better spent? Talking to the agents that actually really want to write an offer. Or talking to the agents that are negotiating the deal, right? Getting more business. That's where my time should be. Not doing this minutia, right? And so that's, can a assistant run a quick CMA for you? Absolutely. Can they grab disclosures for you? Why not? Right now, our assistant today is putting together 4 offers for our team right now. We have a TC that does the contracts. She can do it too, but TC's online. And she's going to be pulling all the pictures and all that stuff together for us. Right? So yeah, and this is going to do a lot. Schedule inspections. That's always a nightmare. Following a listing checklist, right? But the goal is to free up your time so you can go lead generate. That is the goal. You should be going to get more business, and the money you're paying her, you're saving yourself. You should be getting more business. That's the goal. All right, anything else? Let's see if anything else here. No other questions, anybody? Going once?
Nope.
Going twice?
Who reviews your broker contract?
I'm sorry?
When you get the legal descriptions and you have your TCs doing all this legal work and you're signing your name to stuff, who does the review before you send anything out?
My TC, my assistant, never sent a contract out without us replying an email that we approve it.
And who reviews it with you?
It's either me or the agent. Yeah, we
Oh,
know
Alan?
enough. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, who's that?
I was Maureen. I had a question a while ago about when you're doing the listing. And, you know, when you get in the listing and you bring in the comps and the sellers that always want too much, I just left when I had 2 different instances where it was friends, like long-term friend, lender and stager friends, and they just told them it was worth so much more. And I was like, I'd already showed them the comps. So it's not a referral, it's the seller. It's not a referral for a lender. It's just somebody they knew that really shouldn't have said anything, especially the stager. And so that was somebody they knew. So it wasn't, I didn't get to pick them. They were long-term friends, and the place had no windows and it was clearly too high. And so how do you get over that when it's somebody they know that's telling them it's worth more, you know, like the nosy neighbor, you know, type of thing?
Yeah, I think you just have to keep asserting yourself as the expert.
Mm-hmm.
So in my X amount of years experience in doing this business and selling homes every single day, it's my professional opinion that your house is worth this amount of money. Well, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. It goes, well, I mean, that's fine. But I mean, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, but what their opinion is I would take it with a grain of salt, because they're not in this business every single day like I am for the last 30 years or 20 years or 17 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. You know, anybody can have an opinion on the subject. I'm telling you, the data speaks. You can start talking to the data again. I mean, you don't want to rip them too much, right? But establish yourself as the expert, and then go through the comps. You know, this is what the number said. This house here, exactly the same as yours. Take a look, right? Even look at the pictures. You know, I called the agent. It's in pending for this house sold. 5 hours. They only had 1 offer, and they were on the market for 30 days, and they ended up taking lower than that price. And you want higher than number. I think that's going to be a struggle, because if you look at the conditions, very similar. Now, be careful there, because they always think their condition is better. You just let them have it. But
Yeah. But no, I did that. I was curious what you said. Now, the other thing is I struggle with trying to find an assistant, especially now, since, you know, you can't have somebody come into your house really. And if you go to the office, maybe they're not there. So you have to get them to sit there. And training somebody for what I do, maybe we should do it offline, because some of the research is a little challenging. But just finding an assistant, unless you pay them full time, they want to work part time. And so it's somebody that, like, if it's your family, like, oh, they don't, you know, maybe they need to get away from the family. But how do you do it when you don't have full time work for them? What do you you set that up so you're telling them, and you spend all that? What I find my issue is I spend all this time showing them what I want, and it takes a long time, and then they may get disinterested or there's not enough work.
yeah, I think you have to make sure that you have enough repetitive work for them. Ideally, I'll talk about 2 different kinds of assistants. I'm talking about the virtual first, okay? For the virtual ones, ideally, repetitive tasks are the best, because they're far away. They're not, you can't show them face to face what you're trying to do. So repetitive tasks for that are really good. So things like I said, CMAs, full disclosures, block my showing schedules, deal with PEAT forms, schedule inspections, things that are repetitive. They're really good at that, right? If you don't have enough for that role, then I don't know if you even need an assistant. But you can always hire somebody as a project base, I guess, to get some things done for you. And I would say I really enjoy the virtual assistant, because they're very appreciative. They're paid very well. I mean, $10 an hour, yeah, the staffing company takes probably half of it, but they still are 5 times over minimum wage. So they really appreciate their jobs. They really go above and beyond. I really, again, you got to find the right person. And if you don't like that person, you can always let them go, and there's another one in the pool, right? So you don't have to feel bad about firing them and all that, because you're not, because they'll just go to another customer and you just find somebody better. You know, full-time is always tricky with all these legal rules to follow and blah, 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 right? So, but if you go on the full-time assistant route or part-time, yeah, you're right. If you go part-time, they might get disinterested if you don't have enough work. So then you got to ask yourself, do I really need an assistant? Or do I just need somebody to do projects for me, right? Just get this project done, and I'll pay you for the project, and we'll go from there.
Oh, I like that idea, the project.
Yeah, do project-based. And if you can do it virtually, even better. That would be ideal. But if it does require face-to-face, then I don't know. You have to be safe on that, right? Before you embark on that.
Yeah, Alan, great job.
Hey, Mark.
Good to see you again, buddy. And I hope you're going to be at our mastermind meeting one of these days again.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we can't wait for you to come join us one day, unless you joined already. I didn't know.
Well, you never know. Hey, listen, take care and thanks for sharing. Appreciate it.
Mark.
Bye-bye.
Let's see, what is there some question from Philip? Oh, okay. All right, any other questions, anybody? All right, well, have a good day.
One
Thanks,
last
everyone.
question, Alan.
Yes, go.
During your listing, how many times you personally meet the sellers? Means how much time you spend on seller?
Usually it's about an hour.
Only listing presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And during the remodeling and means from listing presentation to closing, how much hours you spend on one seller?
Wow. That's a good question. It's really hard to say. So my process is every week I follow up with all the leads that come in. So everybody that comes through the house, I call them. I call, text, and email. So I don't like to leave selling a house to chance. So I chase down every lead until it's dead. And that's the way I sell houses on this listing side. So I do spend a good amount of time. I don't know, it just depends on how long the house takes to sell, right? So there's no magic number there. So it's just, yeah, I don't have a magic number on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Alan, one last question.
Yes.
When you